Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Hop in the car, Panther fans. We're heading to rookie mini camp. That's right. The Panthers have got football players on the field. The little babies are out there learning the system, and we've got all the latest news from the press conferences, from the coordinators, to the news about our mighty mini rookie and Bryce Young taking maybe a snap under center. Hopefully he'll get more than 7 this season. We've got all of that, plus insights into how this defense is coming together. Your calls tonight on the Cat Calls. The number's 252-228-5098. And news around the league. Davante Adams is a free man who's proven himself, but is unhappy with the way that their team is unfolding. And we've got some other fun tidbits. And you know what we're going to do? I'm going to rock with my wheelman, Cody Lashney, and figure it all out.
Tony Dunn. It's a Tuesday night, and the C3 Panthers podcast takes no Tuesday nights off. Listen, man, we've gotten to hear a little bit from our offensive coordinator, Thomas Brown, our defensive coordinator, Ejiro Evero. Thomas Brown does not give a damn about Bryce Young's height, and probably because he's a little bit on the shorter side himself, Tony Dunn. But we'll talk about that a little bit tonight. We'll talk about a comment from Ejiro Evero that kind of got Panther Nation a little bit concerned, and it comes with the other side of our pass rush on the other side of Brian Burns. So we have a full show tonight. Man, we have so much to talk about. You already see all these incredible C3 fans in the chat, the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. You know them and love them. It's our guy C3 Panther Pickle, who did his own show with Twan tonight. Check that out. Shout out Pickle. My man Drew, Joey the Blind Panther Esquivel, John B. Jenkins. John, what's up? Kim Sanity, Lawrence Trevette, 5 Beta Hitters, Cardiac Cat 13, Underground West, and that boy White Chocolate Espresso. Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The number's 252-228-5098. Smash the thumbs up button, subscribe, hit the notification bell to make sure every time we go live or put out any new content, you're a part of it. And consider being a C3 Superfan for just $1.99 a month. You can help support and grow this show. We thank everybody for their time and attention. Let's rock and roll into this show. Carolina Panthers open up rookie mini camp, and we get to see some of the guys out there running around a little bit. Not very much leaking, though, when it comes to imagery and video or anything like that. Really kind of light on the Bryce Young discussion, to be honest, or insight. It's almost like they're protecting the little guy back there. All we've seen is one little picture of this guy, and then you have to watch the whole internet make fun of, look at that little elf out there. He's our mighty mouse, our mighty Minnie Mouse, yeah. I say. I'm ready for it. But look, the camp is underway. This what they get a few days with these guys, right? Couple of days.
I mean, literally just a couple days.
And what I love about this, and we're going to delve into the press conferences, but then the media, and you know, I mean, they have to ask these questions, right? So it's not like they shouldn't be asking these questions, but it's like, what do you think's going to happen with the defensive alignment and the depth and who's returning punts? And these guys are like, I'm still trying to learn these dudes' names.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody has a lot of questions as basically as to what this Panthers team is going to look like. And Tony, don't you feel like everyone collectively realized yet again how small Bryce Young was? Like, we already knew before the draft, but now you see him, you know, in the red jersey, in the helmet, people talking about him disappearing behind the offensive line. And I swear, dude, it's like people already just forgot that the dude was 5'10", 200 pounds. It's like they're realizing it all over again. I don't understand what all the collective outrage was about. Thomas Brown even spoke to it today, but I did find that kind of kind of weird, didn't you?
I think this is all to be expected. All right. This is just the natural rhythm of fan discussion, media coverage, and things like this. Is that and we talked about a lot of this as the draft was coming about, the combine, and I mentioned it was easy to see with Anthony Richardson, like his shining star moment is the combine. That's where he's going to look the greatest. And you're going to hear one of the reasons where Bryce Young shined the most was continued to be in those interviews. Is that we all said this. We were like, oh, man, the size is concerning. The size is concerning. Should we talk about it? And people are like, nah, look at the tape. You silly. You dumb. You dumb. You dumb. And then we all kind of like, I guess, got berated so hard that we just swallowed it. We were like, all right, he's small. Who cares? And then we put it away. And then you see him and you're like, oh, shit, dude's small.
Yeah, right? He's tiny.
How can you not mention it? Do you really, if you were an opposing fan base, let's put it this way. Look, it's our job to defend it. It's our job to say, he's our Mighty Mouse, our mini Mighty Mouse, all of these things. He can overcome. Blah, blah, blah. This is, it's the X factor. It's his intelligence. It's all of this. But isn't it their job as opposing fan bases to make fun of his size too? Wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
If you were like, if he was drafted by the Falcons and we had Anthony Richardson, and you were like, dude, look at that little strippy boy.
Dude, some of the GIFs and the memes that people come up with are fucking insane, dude. Like, you can't help but laugh at them. But, Tony, this is the point that I made a couple weeks back. Knowing, Tony, I still remember a couple of years ago, me and you doing this show, and you and I were known as cam sexuals, meaning we would defend every single thing that Cam Newton did. Well, I mean, listen, with Bryce being this underdog, small quarterback, and yeah, he was the number one pick, but I really do feel like Panther fans are going to have to become some Bryce sexuals, baby. Yeah. We're going to have to defend this.
Or like mama bears at the very least.
Yeah, because everyone's going to be coming after him, bro. Everyone.
Because it does feel a little pedophilic, though, to... It's so young and cute and adorable. So adorable. I think it's going to take some of it, Cody. You're right. But, Cam, the Cam sexual attraction didn't come immediate. Like yeah, there was an excitement that was generated by having this awesome player, right? But at the same time, it was not. It was also the dynamic play on the field that brought that too. Right. Yeah. So this will come and continue with we're going to need some success on the field to make that excitement and that endearment and that protective gene to cultivate it. But you're right. I mean, we're going to have to go big brother out here and protect our guy.
Yeah, man, that's little bro. We now have to be the older brother and we got to be possessive over our guy. And you know who else is our guy? P-Dubs.
Nice.
With the $20 love bomb. This is the media disrespect out there for the Panthers is palpable, and I love it. Don't worry, we'll make room on the Panther bandwagon in January. I appreciate P-Dubs. I believe the same thing. A slept-on Panthers team is indeed the best Panthers team. Tony, you ready to jump into the show tonight?
Let's go.
And give these people what they want. So Rookie Minicamp Wrap Up is the name and title of tonight's show. And, Tony just mentioned how there's so many people when they defend Bryce, the first thing they go to is the film. And lo and behold, today, when Panthers offensive coordinator Thomas Brown was asked about Bryce Young's height, he says, I've never cared about it because I evaluate tape and I evaluate the person. Tony, it's one thing to hear people in the media say this, but does it make it feel better when it is coming from our offensive coordinator, or is this just another case
no,
it
of doesn't make it
thinking?
It doesn't make it feel better. It's like, first, they made the damn pick. They better like the guy.
Right.
They better like the tape. This is what they're going to say. I mean, this is what they have to say. And this is what I mean, and they probably mean it. I mean, they made the pick. They picked him over everybody else, right? And so that size was not a factor too big or too little to steer them to another selection. Now, one of the things that was interesting in this press conference is they asked him about that process, about like some of the things. We'll get to that in a moment. But he said, I'm not going to share my rankings before, because he said he had to come in. Part of his interview process was sharing. They asked him if he had done work on these quarterbacks. He said, I'm not going to share my rankings. I would my follow-up question today to him on that as he then actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and play. It's the last clip. We're going to do the last clip in the first segment. Why Bryce Young? Let's go to that, because he was talking about, this is why he said Bryce Young. And I want to talk about why they selected Bryce Young. And
is that the David Newton question?
No, there's one more. It's after that. It's the first link on page 2.
All right. Gotcha.
So they asked him why they picked Bryce Young. And this actually in some ways is this is why we know that they picked Bryce Young, and also to me slightly a little concerning. And this is, I have a secret fear. I've mentioned it on this show before. Let's hear what Thomas Brown has to say about why they selected, or why it was Bryce Young.
Well, since I'm trying to get all the answers, will Bryce be your starter week 1?
There you go. I'm never going to answer that question.
Next clip.
Oh, that's not.
Did I paste them twice? All right, that's my fault. I'll pull it up real quick. Why do you think they selected Bryce Young? And I just screwed that up. I bungled it up. But here, you tell me, and I'll pull it up real quick.
I mean, no, I believe him at face value. So many people along the way during this process said that Bryce Young had the best film. And again, when you look at film, it's subjective when it comes to whoever's watching the film. A lot of people like Chris Sims. A lot of people make fun of Chris Sims. He had CJ Stroud number 1. But just about to a man, every other well-respected pundit in the media, at least, came forward saying that Bryce Young had the best film. He won a Heisman. He broke records at Alabama. And yeah, when you break down the film, to me, it's not crazy to think that the Panthers think the same way, that he does have the best film.
Here's the clip. Tell me if the audio doesn't work for some reason.
I would say starting first with
make sure it's all the way up.
When I came in and kind of met the end of it with Scott and Dan and Samir, we had the specific question about, one, have I evaluated the quarterbacks, which I had, and kind of how I saw them, which I won't go through my, rankings at the time then. But I felt really good about Bryce at that process, at that time, just based on this film study. But having a chance to be on the road, see all the quarterbacks almost kind of back-to-back in different settings, whether it be, at a dinner, to kind of get a feel for their personalities, what they knew from a knowledge standpoint. I would say what kind of put him over the hump in my mind was spending time with him, just talking about this ball, how his brain works, how he communicates, what he can recall, how he can adjust on the fly. And also he always just stayed, here the entire time. Just loved the poise. Never got rattled for the most part, even though Frank tried to shake him up a couple of times to try to see how he responded to it. But he was cool, calm, and collective. Then being able to have a chance to, just hear about, I would say, starting first.
All right, that's so here is the thing: is you're right. They put tape up in the mix, right? That's a big part of it. One of the things, Cody, though, that kind of, I would say, I don't know if it bugs me, it's because he won the interview, right? Why am I? Did I just screw up the background? I think I did.
No, you're right.
No, okay. He won the interview. Right? That's what he does. He wins the interviews. He wins. It's his personality. It's his intelligence. It's the thing between his ears. It's not his body. Right? So it's his tape and his intelligence. In some cases, that slightly makes me nervous. Right? I mean, in many ways, it makes me very comfortable, right? Is because, like, hey, having a guy that has the most complicated position in the league, that's what you want. But it's almost like that's the only reason you picked him. And I wanted to ask, I guess this is my question to him. I'm very excited. I think anytime if we don't just say, oh, it's the best thing, then I'm going to be viewed as a hater. I'm not. I'm very excited about him. I do have some questions about, will his arm strength look adequate at the next level? People said it was adequate in college, But Will, you go to a bigger football, you go to bigger players, you go to a faster game. You know what I mean? The hashes are farther apart or whatever it is. You know, I mean, will we see any of that translate, or will it just continue to be adequate? I wanted to ask, my follow-up question to him would have been, when you don't reveal to us your rankings, right? I don't want to know what your pre-rankings were, but after you went through this process, how easy of a decision was it, or was it a difficult decision still?
Yeah.
You know, was this like,
Yeah.
oh man, hey, he won me over. This is, like he said, this is what put him over the hump. But we're there. I would like to know, and you know, he probably couldn't answer that honestly. But you know, was this a close call between two guys and three guys, or was this Bryce Young and everybody else?
Well, now there's a story that's gone around about when Bryce Young had his interview, his dinner with the Panthers. They were eating dinner, and it came out that it was Thomas Brown was the one that asked Bryce Young the question about what his weekly routine was.
Oh, yeah. And then they got annoyed at how long it was.
Yeah, and Thomas Brown was like, hey, bro, you're good. You ain't even got to say no more, dog.
Like, first, I make my overnight oats. I soak them in almond milk the night before to prepare.
Oriented that it's insane. And by the way, even in that clip that you just played right there, he said that Frank Wright tried to,
rattle him.
Yeah, tried to rattle him. But the fact that the guy is calm under pressure, that's another thing. For the little guy, the moment is never too big for him.
That's the most exciting.
Right.
I think that's what it is for me. Is like, yes, I want sure, I have some not concerns. Is look, they're not concerns as much as just the reality. He's a smaller guy, right? It's it's a reality. He's a smaller guy. The reality is he doesn't have a bazooka, right? That's just a reality. I mean, it's just what he's going to have to play with. But what is so cool to me is the idea of having a guy that could be like Peyton Manning, that could be like Tom Brady, that could be an offensive coordinator on the field.
Yes.
That's ultimately what we saw from Luke Kuechly at the linebacker position, where he understands what's happening so quickly. You know, that is exciting. But then the moment in that Auburn game when they got like a minute left, they're down by whatever, and they're like on the 5-yard line, and the guy is like grinning. And as I heard one guy describe it, like a psychopath, like, you're supposed to be nervous. So I'm the nervous guy. Like, I'm the guy that crumples. When I was in college, we used to go bowling, and I was a decent bowler until it mattered. And then it was like, oh, like this is like, and we were in a bowling league. And if it was on me to pick up this frame, I'm just straight crumple, right? Is like the pressure. That's what, and that's what has been, to be honest, that's what's cooler to me about Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes than I know that Josh Allen has the bazooka, Cody, but what is crazy to me is over the last 2 years in him and Burrow, it's just like this. It used to be back in the day, if you went up by 7 and it was under 2 minutes and they only had one timeout, game over. These guys, you give them 40 seconds. You give them 40 seconds and no timeouts, and all of a sudden it's going into overtime. That's what I'm excited about. That is the intangible that we have been told Bryce Young has, and I can't wait to see.
And you know what, Tony? I even want to make sure that we don't fall into this trap in the other direction, right? Because we're already talking about, well, yeah, he doesn't have the bazooka. He doesn't have this. He doesn't have that. I feel like that can put us in a mental trap of us already knowing what kind of quarterback he's destined to be, right?
Right.
And just off the top of your head, that's like, oh, he's the quarterback that's never going to take shots. And even if you watch this Alabama film, that's just not true. It's not accurate. So I also think that we need to pump the brakes on his ability to also be a dynamic down the field passer as well. I was watching a video recently about Joe Montana and how when he came into the NFL, they were running that West Coast style offense, and it was so revolutionary because it was getting the ball out of Joe Montana's hands really fast, really efficient, moving the ball downfield, and inevitably that would open up shots down the field. And Joe Montana had such a great view of the field that whenever those moments would happen, he would always capitalize on them.
Yeah,
and it feels like that is what we're hoping for, that type of quarterback from Bryce Young.
I agree. I think that's a great point. Is first, let's not put any player in a box too early, right? But when I talk about arm strength, to me, I know that it's easy for people to talk about downfield passing. I don't think arm strength ultimately is downfield passing, right? Because a lot of times these guys have to run under it. You know, Cam Newton had a bazooka, and that didn't always turn out best. Sometimes he would throw a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, and you're like, dude, I'm right beside you, right? It's like Cam's problem was touch. Right, was putting air under it sometimes later in his career, or some of these. So just being able to throw launch a missile, that's not what I'm talking about. What I guess I'm kind of interested in seeing is what happens when it feels open. You know, like the pass feels open, and you're like, oh yeah, got this, throw it, and it's like, wait a second. By the time it gets there, people are closing. We'll see. It's like, I mean, we'll see. I think it's going to be more in the intermediate passing game that the arm strength is probably the most significant, if that makes sense. It's like, because windows are smaller, the timing's faster. You just can't lay it up all the time. You gotta. So we'll see. I'm excited about him, though. Yeah. Excited about the intangible of it. But you do see him out there. He looks tiny. But that's just going to be what we're going to deal with. I mean, guess what? It's not like Kyler Murray's bigger over, that's what they're going to deal with. He's going to be part of the thing.
And to add on to that, Tony, you hear Fitterer and Frank Reich talk about his ability to add more to his lower half, to his legs, and to his frame. I'm going to be real. I kind of think this is the weight that is probably best for Bryce to play at. He doesn't have that frame that lends itself to a lot of thick rock muscle, not like a Russell Wilson, if that makes sense. He just doesn't have that kind of frame, even though the height is around the same. It's just not quite built that way. So in my opinion, I'm just getting used to him being this size.
Yeah,
like maybe he had some more lean muscle, but I'm just kind of leaning into what it is. Who doesn't care about how short Bryce Young is Thomas Brown, who shout out to Ryan, not Reynolds, on Twitter. Panthers.
I love it. He's great. This is a great Twitter follow.
Yeah, Thomas Brown on Bryce Young's height seems pretty damn tall to me. How tall do you think Thomas Brown is, Tony?
Gosh, I don't know if this is play. Some of this has to be angles. I hope. Because if this is like just a straight on back-to-back type
he's
thing.
He's like 5'7" out here.
5'5" or something.
He's like 5, maybe like 5'7", 5'8".
Yeah.
Bryce seems like he has at least 3
inches. Yeah.
I mean
his shoulders are tall. I like to look at people's shoulders. Right. Yeah. And like the shoulders are higher. So anyway, we learned a little bit too about the Panthers. Some of the focus, and this is probably the better orienting of what to talk about when it comes to. All right. Well, actually, you go ahead and bring this in, then we'll talk about how the offensive scheme's going to look.
Sure, but I remember I brought this up the other night, and you and Greg didn't quite believe me at the time when I said that it was going to be Andy Dalton to start. But since then, we have kind of been given some more context to that. This is from Peter King as to why the Panthers are choosing to roll with Andy Dalton under center to start. But again, a lot of that is kind of smoke and mirrors. But this is from Peter King. He says, I'm told the staff is trying to make sure the operation as a whole in Rex's first year is running at an optimal level. Most of the Panthers veterans have been in-house for 5 weeks already, as the coaches try to keep pushing that level higher with 2 weeks of on-the-field workout under their belts as a part of that. The rookies, including Young, are behind that pace. Reich, for obvious reasons, doesn't want to slow the pace to accommodate any rookie he thinks might have to progress, which is to say now it'll be up to Young to catch up to older teammates. When he does, the coaches will start transitioning by getting him more work with the guys he'll be playing with in the fall, presuming he does sooner or later, he will become the starter. So this kind of puts to bed some of the
fancy talk for saying he's going to start.
Yeah, I mean, and then Thomas Brown is already saying that even though Dalton is technically the starter, Bryce is going to be seeing a lot of time with the number ones. So you're right. There's no story here. Bryce,
he's going to start. He's going to
be the starter
day one. I think it's day one. And that's why you drafted him.
Yeah.
You didn't draft him because he's a developmental player. You drafted him because he can win now, or you think he. So what is probably more interesting than some of the player talk is what we're learning about potentially how the offense is going to work, what Thomas Brown's role is going to be in it, some different things like this. They were asked about the schematic split of how the makeup would be. I think
no, that was
this is Thomas Brown when asked about how his offense meshed with Frank Wright, because they're not from the same school. And one of the exciting parts about Everett Brown is he comes from the Sean McVay coaching tree, and then you get the Frank Reich experience as an offensive player right here. This is Thomas Brown asked about how that offense, how it meshes together.
Being physical at every position. That to me, for us offensively, is kind of a non-negotiable. It's kind of one of the great neutralizers when it comes to this game. I think being able to establish line of scrimmage, which O-line and Coach Camp did a great job on last year, trying to just build upon that. But then to me, it goes from just the physical element to how to
this is the right clip.
Create and win matchups. That could be with pre-snap motions, that could be regular motions, fly sweep motions. It could be getting man-zone indicators, try to figure out how to exploit the defense from a matchup standpoint. But also could be in-line-wise. If we have a matchup with a guard or 3 technique, might be kind of setting some front certain ways to be able to get some combination work with those guys week in and week out. And the last point, after we talk about being physical, we talk about finding, creating, winning matchups. It was, for us, we call it TNT. All right, so things that take no talent. So alignment, assignment, technique, right, effort, and finish. Things we can control every single day to put ourselves in the best spot to be successful. And ultimately,
2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Not putting ourselves in the
obviously Tony deserves the ice up here because I didn't put the clips in the right fucking order. That was supposed to be about the offensive identity, that clip right there. Hopefully I have a clip. Maybe I switched them out. So here, toughness. He talked about the toughness and the offensive identity. Let's just keep going through with the clips, and we'll just work it out that way.
All right. I don't know which ones are.
I'll try this one then. I thought. Here, I'll do.
Well, I have them up too. I can just play them.
I swear that I put one about the schematic. Was that the first one?
Now this is the third one, and but they're all kind of labeled the same. This one has a different time on it.
Tried to kind of sit down and look at both systems.
This is it.
Yeah, this is the one that we were okay.
This is what I wanted. Sorry, my bad.
Tried to kind of sit down and look at both systems and strip them all the way down to the bare roots and try to figure out how to build them back up to make them better, but also how to put them together to find this perfect blend and perfect marriage. So in an ideal world, it's probably about 50-50, but there's no ideal world to kind of fit it into that box. But it's been going well. We'll kind of go into next week OTA-wise in our third time going through the same install. So a lot of kind of carryover for our players, but it's been good so far.
What would you say the percentage breakdown is of what you brought versus Frank's scheme?
I think it depends on situation. I would say normal D&D is probably 60-40. But I think it varies depending on personnel grouping as well. You talk about 11 personnel versus 12 or 13, because if you watch in LA, we were probably 97% 11 personnel, so there wasn't a lot of 12 or 13 inventory. So that does change up some. But like I said before, trying to keep it as much as we can an even split of 50-50. Try to.
And this is a bit of a weird conundrum, Tony, because part of the reason why the Panthers decided to hire Frank Reich was because you're finally going to be able to have that offensive play caller at your head coach position. And that was the importance of that hire. So then when you go get Thomas Brown, like it'll be interesting to see his role in the offense. I mean, they say that he's building the playbook, yet according to that clip right there, the offense is still going to be 60% of Frank Reich stuff and around 40% of Thomas Brown stuff, assuming all the 11 personnel is more Brown stuff, from what he was able to gather from Sean McVay and his offense. I even saw someone saying online that maybe, everyone says Andy Reid is the architect of that Chiefs offense.
True.
And everyone else is just kind of like the co-captain. Do you envision kind of that's what our offensive structure is going to end up being like between Frank Reich and Thomas Brown?
Yeah, I have to say yes, in a way. Is like, and maybe, look, as Frank Reich plays well with others. We've seen that very quickly from the way he works with Scott Fitterer, with everybody. So I think what these guys are going to be are they're the producers. They're the guys that are developing all these ideas and bringing them to the table as they game plan for things. And then he takes that and kind of makes the grand decision in it. But Frank Reich wants to be on the field, feeling the game out and making the play calls. So I think, to me, what I envision, what I'm guessing Thomas Brown's role is more of a game planner prior to the game day, right? Is like, hey, looking at the other team and their defense, seeing what holes can be attacked, what we do well, and really putting together basically a menu, right? Is like, here are our ideas for this weekend, what we're going to put out at the restaurant. And then the chef walks in and says, all right, this is what we're going with at this moment. And I feel like Reich wants to outsource some of that labor about, where looking at all the tape, looking at the tendencies of other teams. And he comes and he says, all right, Thomas, how do we beat this team? How do you think we beat this team? And then you give me the kind of what you think the formula is for the good recipe, and I'll go cook it.
Yeah. Or tell me let's say it's like the chef and the sous chef, right? To continue with your analogy, with the offensive coordinator being the sous chef, they're going to properly plate and prepare everything that the kitchen puts out. But the chef is deciding the order in which they go out, at what time they go out, really preparing the meal for us, the fans, Yeah,
I just don't see it's not like Frank Reich is going to be I guess what you've heard is like sometimes when the offensive coordinator calls in a play and then you hear a head coach going, well, I'm on the mic, I can override plays if I want to.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if Wright is calling in the play, it's not like Thomas Brown's going to be able to go, I don't think that's the play. We should run.
Yeah.
It's too late at that point. He already called the play. Maybe just kind of continuing to be in his ears, seeing here's some tendencies I'm seeing. Think about this. Maybe set up this in a couple of plays. An advisory almost capacity. An assistant clearly an assistant capacity. They did ask him about if he would be calling if he would be up in the booth or if he would be on the field. I think it would be, I don't even know what the benefit of him being in the booth would be. I guess maybe just getting the overhead view and then trying to mic in some of that to Frank Wright to see some of the things he's seeing. But it almost seems like if Frank Wright's the one doing it, he needs to be on the field there, kind of getting a sense of it. What did you think about that? It is, you put a conundrum. You said this is an interest. We'll see how this relationship works out. And I don't think it's going to be a bad relationship. I just wonder how important it will be to the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting to watch going forward. And then one of the things after we hired this coaching staff, one of the things, it was either me or Greg, I forgot who brought it up, but one of the worries that you might have is, are there too many cooks in the kitchen? You know what I mean? Like, is it going to be too much of a scenario where Frank Reich wants to do one kind of thing, where Thomas Brown maybe wants to do something different, coming from that Sean McVay style of offense? So I don't know. I mean, again, we're going to choose to be optimistic. Only time will tell when it comes down to it. But Tony, did you want to?
I would say, frankly, I don't think it matters what Thomas Brown wants.
Yeah, right. He's overruled by our brand new head coach. Ed, did you want to jump into that Dan Orlovsky?
Oh yeah, here is one of the things that's.
Yeah, I mean, you were concerned a little bit about this after this was brought to your attention. I just
thought this was bizarre. I just thought, all right, so we've heard and you've talked about it, and you got is that Bryce Young, you said that we're going to probably be operating out of shotgun a lot going forward. Certainly, and we all know the college game is oriented towards that, right? I also, though, have been like in my mind kept going, all right, his understanding of the game, sophisticated, and has worked with a pro coordinator, as in he just worked with Bill O'Brien for 2 years, maybe, or the last year.
2 years.
Yeah. So I just thought, man, this offense that he ran in Alabama, I just made assumptions, would be a little bit more leaning towards some of the tendencies towards the pro game. This is Dan Orlovsky. And you know what? And they was talking about some of the things that the Panthers will need to do to create or can do to help Bryce Young create throwing lanes. He made some comparisons to what the Saints did with Drew Brees.
How much we maybe can do under center. And the reason I say that is because more under center that you do, the more you can try to build in throwing lanes for shorter quarterbacks. I go back to Drew Brees' time with Sean Payton, and Sean was a master of this. There's 6 guys in this protection, babyface, right? There's that hard ball play action. Now look at I call it an accordion, like the expansion of the offensive line. There's a throwing lane I built in. There's one in the middle. There's one to the right. And now he's got a really clear vision of really where he wants to go with the football. I think it's hard to replicate that stuff from in the shotgun. Now, they will live in shotgun more often than not, and it will be a little bit more spread out and RPO based. But Bryce threw the ball 7 times at Alabama from underneath center. And I think if you're really trying to maximize it, how can you get comfortable or get him comfortable doing stuff like that the Saints did with Drew Brees? I only think helps keep him clean and seeing the field a little bit better.
7 times? 7 times? That's it? His entire career? Like, how is that even possible?
Hey, dude, in college football, most of these quarterbacks are under center. And
no, you mean out of the shotgun.
Right, out of the shotgun. Yeah. They're rarely ever under center. It's a lot of play action pass type of offenses. But the concepts like the route running concepts, the protections, all of those things are, were an NFL style due to Bill O'Brien and what he was doing in Alabama. But yeah, under center is not something that he did a lot. And Dan
Not a lot
Orlovsky,
is an understatement.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
7 times in 2 years is freaking incredible.
Yeah, and
that's
and
like you might as well not even do it.
When I went on the Panthers roundtable with P&P a few weeks ago. This is before the draft. One of the things that I said is, "Hey, we're gonna have a quarterback that is going to be in shotgun the large majority of the time." And then everybody got on to me like, "Oh, why can't he be under center?"
I remember.
Patrick Mahomes is never under center, and I was like, "Yeah, well, Patrick Mahomes is 6'3". Part of the reason why you're going to have him in shotgun so much is because he doesn't have that luxury to be able to see over his offensive lineman. To have him further back, it gives him more space and more of an opportunity to set his feet and see the spaces in between the A gaps and the B gaps and be able to look downfield. Tony, let me ask you this. Do you think Frank Reich and Thomas Brown are going to put him under center more in the NFL than he was in college? I mean, we know they're going to be in shotgun, but is it going to be more than when he was in college?
They have to. It's just part of the game, and we know we saw this. And maybe Orlovsky is the hit or miss in his evaluations, and I'm not the X and O guy, right, to tell you like what personnel we're going to run and how this is going to translate. I just don't think like running out of the gun all the time in the NFL works. Like, it can be, but I think it puts a lot of pressure on your quarterback to just win all the time. It's like, are we going to run are we going to throw the ball 40 times a game? I don't think that really indicates having a completely balanced attack. And we know that running the football, while this isn't a running league anymore, is still necessary in the NFL. I think he's going to have to live under center at some point. Whether how much he does, how quickly they orient him to that, I'm not sure. But I think Orlovsky made a good point there, is that there's some benefits you can. Drew Brees was under center a lot. That's what he said. And so that does. And we didn't play the video because we didn't want to get demonetized because it's an NFL clip. But it will, it does allow you to put more people on the line and do some different things. And then they have to be more prepared for the run. And if you remember, do you remember that Orlovsky clip that made got a lot of attention last season, when I think it may have been against the Giants that Baker Mayfield had played so poorly, and he talked about how the formation where Christian McCaffrey was, and so that's where under center plays such a big deal, is in a disguise role. I think he's gonna have to, and if he can't, Cody, that's a limitation that is concerning.
Absolutely, and by the way,
it's a limitation at the very least. If he can't do it, it's a limitation.
And if you go to his OTA footage, which I can pull up some, all the clips that people were saying he looked so small and so tiny
when he was under center.
They had him under center, and I do think that him being under center is something that they're going to prioritize, in my opinion. I think they have
to. I think it'll be a benefit too. If anything, I know that we think of it from our perspective of him having trouble seeing, but I think he's going to be able to see over the guys. They're not 6 foot when they're in a crouched position, right? So he's going to be able to see over them physically while he's looking at the line. I think the other thing too is that maybe him being under center makes it more difficult for the defensive players to find him and to see what he's doing, which could be some deception on our part in a way.
Well, if you're preparing to play the Panthers, every other defense is going to be assuming that we're going to be in shotgun 90% of the time. So even from that perspective, just switching up what you do is very beneficial because, it's going to keep them on their toes as to how they defend us and how we basically continue to attack defenses and how versatile we're able to be. And that's really interesting going back to the split in offense between Frank Reich and Ejiro Evero. And I'm wondering if maybe there might be some philosophical differences in how they intend to use Bryce. I don't know. This is going to be a very interesting thing to follow going forward. I'll say this right now. I think no matter what way we choose to use Bryce Young, I'm excited about his abilities to go out there and make plays. I don't know. I just feel like I don't feel as though Bryce is going to have some tough transition to the NFL type of game. I just feel like there is a very clear methodology to putting a system around him that is going to have him be successful, getting the ball out of his hands, running the football effectively, and those short and intermediate routes, they're going to be pivotal to him early on in his career.
Just to check the private chat real quick. I had to adjust some links. I figure out when I'm making these outlines, if I don't hit the Control C at the right second, I'm just pasting the old link that I was pasting before. So, all right. So we got some insight there. We won't even play the David Newton clip, but David Newton wins the press conference again. He says, "Will Bryce Young be the starter?" That was fun. It was like, he's got to ask the question. He always asks it. We got to get in there. We got to get these credentials for Cody. Cody would ask the hard questions. My question, What would you have asked? All right, we'll finish the offensive side up with this. What would you have asked if, and realistically, I guess maybe you can pose two questions. What's the question you want answered that they won't answer? And what's the question you would pose that realistically they could give you some insight into what this team's going to look like?
You mean Thomas Brown? What questions to Thomas Brown?
Yeah.
So, mine would be about the rushing attack. We know Miles Sanders is going to be a very pivotal part of this rushing attack, but do they want, do they envision Chuba as the thunder to Miles Sanders' lightning, or do they feel like there are some opportunities for other running backs on our depth chart, potentially even like undrafted free agent Donovan Peoples, who is a big, strong, downhill running back that a lot of people are a fan of? Like, what would his philosophy be when it came to running the football? And my second question would probably be at number one wide receiver. I mean, do they feel that this offense as is, that they have a true number one X receiver? Or do they feel like it's just going to be a X receiver by committee and just spreading the ball around to as many different receivers as possible? Kind of questions along those lines. Because so many people in the media feel like the Panthers don't have that true dominant presence at receiver.
Here is look here. Actually, there was sort of a question to that vein today that might give us a little insight about that. And maybe with tight end as well.
Mainly the X position, and maybe that other tight end position when you do run 12 personnel maybe changed with the way you guys have put this all together.
For me personally, I would say about the same. I think, in an ideal world, I have an extra receiver who can win by himself, backside, one-on-one, dictate coverage. To come to third down, being able to have somebody who the QB can look to as far as, hey, I got a one-on-one matchup backside with individual cuts. That guy can come alive. And to kind of get to the question you asked about from a 12 personnel standpoint, I've always kind of viewed trying to have a Y, so 11 personnel or 12 personnel attached tight end as a combo player, the guy that can be in line from a blocking surface standpoint, hold up in pass protection or play action protection, but also be effective in a short to intermediate pass game. I would say in an ideal world, you want to have that second tight end or sometimes the third tight end be a little bit more athletic, who may not be as big or as physical. If he has all those tools, that's always a bonus. But look at what we call our F tight end, the off the ball tight end, kind of being.
So those are a little insight is like, I mean, I think there's still some questions on, they're trying to figure this roster out. And I think one of the things to think about as it comes with for Panther fans is that maybe this is the time that hope spring eternal, like you mentioned a lot. And we always look, we're out here talking about, man, Panthers going to go get 11 wins and crap like this. There's still a lot of questions on this team, a lot of unknowns. And I think even for this team, for the coaching staff, they're still trying to figure that out. My question to him would have been, how do you start this? How are you going to, God, how would you phrase it? I'd want to know more about the offensive line and how it's, how maybe are you concerned that injuries are going to require guys to maybe step into different roles earlier? Do you find, what do you think about some of the older players competing with some of these younger rookies and things? I'd want to know more about that Brady Christensen spot, right? As we continue to go forward, those guard positions, I'd like to know more about the guards because those are pretty much where the questions lie on this team at this moment. While on the defensive side of the ball, they are at that defensive end opposite of Brian Burns. The questions on the offensive front are all about those interior guys to the left and right of Bradley Bozeman. So that's kind of where I would want to go. Now, as we continue on, don't forget, guys, the number's 252-228-5098. We'd like to get your thoughts on the state of the Panthers, and Panthers rookie minicamp. Somebody put in here in the chat, they said Bryce Young is above average in the the average. Do you see this? Chase Hawkins put average height of a man is 5'9", 170 pounds. Bryce is 5'10", 195 pounds. People talk like he's under 5 foot tall. This size talk is ridiculous. All right. Look, I mean, I think your point being that the size talk could be overdone is possible, right? It's just still a legitimate discussion to have. It's one that's not going to go away. Bryce Young even mentions that. He's like, man, I'm used to this. Like, this isn't nothing new for me. But you're also using statistics of average people, and we're talking about a select group of human beings on the planet in the NFL. It's like you wouldn't say that about but see, look, I think you could go back to where he's.
I know it's going to apply. So, by the way, this is one of the clips that has Bears fans talking shit. Yeah, they're going nuts about him, calling him a runt, calling him an elf.
Yeah,
and I mean, yeah, he does
on the shelf.
Look, he does look small. And to kind of put devil's advocate to what Chance was saying, yeah, he is your average. Or Chance.
It's
Chance
okay.
Chase.
I thought it was anyway. Who cares?
Well, whoever it is, to you, the fact that he's 5'10", 195 pounds, that's like slightly above average for an average human man, right? American man, let alone talking about a football player,
right? Which
the average size is, a lot larger than that. So yeah, he is smaller than your average how about this? Let's just be honest about it. He is the smallest quarterback in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
And
it's
Tony,
that's a fact.
It's also, it's not going to stop bothering people until he proves that it shouldn't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like there is no amount of interviews that Bryce Young can give, no amount of hours podcasting that you and I could do singing the praises of Bryce Young, no amount of highlights watched that you could go back and relive. The fact of the matter is Bryce Young is going to have to prove that his very small size at the quarterback position, he has to prove that that's not going to be an issue for him before fans are willing to believe in what Bryce Young is going to bring to the Carolina Panthers. But you know what? We're used to it because there were a ton of people that doubted Cam Newton forever. And then he started playing well towards the middle of his career. And then people were in love with him. So Bryce has to be the one to change minds. And we know that.
There's very few players in the world that don't have some sort of thing, a narrative that they have to overcome, right? I mean, I think Andrew Luck is probably one of the few people that had that narrative of like kind of the build the quarterback in the lab type player, the size, the strength, the arm strength, the between the cerebral. Even with Cam Newton, the question that people had to that he was always trying to dispel was that he was a quarterback, not just an athlete, right? Is like that he could, and he didn't completely defeat that narrative, the MVP season and the great season right there gave us who believed that he was a quarterback, right? Not just an athlete. That gave us a lot of ammunition to always just say MVP. Like we just hit you with the 3 letters back.
Yeah.
I think the 2017 season was it with Norv Turner that they were off to a really, really hot.
Better numbers than ever in his career prior.
Right. Is that helped us a lot. But at the end of that was the narrative that always was going to be with him. In fact, I had a guy I work with who brings up a lot of good points about football. Just was not a Cam fan from the beginning, right? Never really was. He said this, but he was excited about what Bryce Young is that having a quarterback that could step up there, read the defense, and know what was going to happen before it was going to happen. And he was just excited about having a player, what he believed was where their strengths lay in a guy like Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, guys that were students of the game more so than exceptional athletes who were teaching to be students. That was his point. The thing is there's just so few Andrew Lucks. There's so few. I mean, maybe you'd say Trevor Lawrence is kind of that, maybe close to that, but I would still say that even that he didn't play in a system under center, there was still a couple of things to me that weren't. I'm trying to think, was there a player?
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Luck was the perfect amalgamation of everything that you want from a college quarterback coming into the NFL. 6'4", had a big arm. He was built well. He played under center. He went to Stanford, so there was no question about his intelligence.
All those things. So I just think that there's so few and far between. We have to go that far back to find that player. Of course, there's going to be something that any player, any quarterback that we select is going to have to overcome and prove to us or prove to the world. For someone else, for Anthony Richardson, it's going to be that he can be an accurate quarterback and play the quarterback position and not just be a freak athlete. For Bryce Young, it's going to be, can he overcome that? And it will be there. Like you said, there's no amount of discussion. There's no amount of debate. And really, it's kind of a fruitless one too, right? Like, how could you?
Yeah.
How could you even? You can't dispel it. That's the whole point. It's a measurable. It's a factor that we just don't know how much or how little it will play into his success. And there's only one way to find out. Go do it.
Yeah, he has to ball out, man. He has to ball out. And by the way, there's some trolling fan from another team in the chat saying they hear nothing but fear from Panther fans. We're not fearful. See, no fan base is a monolith, right? There are right now, and it's just like it was before the draft, Tony, when you had all these Bryce Young believers, truthers, some might say, and then all of these naysayers that just think that he is a hobbit that will never be built to play NFL football. And those two divisions are still very real. And like I said, now we're at the point where we have this incredible amount of optimism. There's an incredible amount of hope, but there's also some reserve as well, where people are kind of tempering their expectations, being like, okay, well, I've never seen a quarterback this small really genuinely be successful in the NFL before. I'm going to wait and let him prove that to me before I just assume that it's something that he can do.
I think you would be like that with every single player in this draft. If it would have been C.J. Stroud, if it would have been Anthony Richardson, if it would there's something, and you have been saying this, is just, hey, but that's what we drafted. We drafted him for the it factor. So it's the off schedule. We drafted him we didn't draft him for his size. Let's just be honest. That's why that wasn't the defining factor of why they drafted him. But it didn't prevent them from drafting him. Now, as we continue on, though, we learned a little bit about the defense. Not as much, though. Not as much. I tell you, the questions, and maybe it's because this team is like, invested a lot in the offense at this moment. Right. You get a top draft pick, you get a wide receiver, you went out in free agency and did some things. We have not really invested a lot in this defense this offseason. I guess we poached a player from the Saints. I don't even remember his name. I don't even know, like, your thoughts just overall on the defense. Why do you think that this press conference, is it part just the temperament of defensive people? Like Ejiro wasn't given, like, he was just like he's cordial. These guys are so nice, but he won't giving up any information. He wasn't really interested in talking much. And you can see that, right, when they first started asking about Jeremy Chinn.
Yeah, and listen, but people are kind of mad at Evero. And there's a lot of people that are really kind of looking down on Evero. I'm still very optimistic, but Tony, there has been this through line that has remained a talking point for us on this podcast for the past 2 or 3 years now, and that is, where does Jeremy Chinn belong on the football field? And not only has it been a mystery to us, but it's going to continue to be a mystery because Evero is still holding this information very close to the chest, almost like it's a pivotal part of their defense, how they intend to use him. Ejiro Evero doesn't want to tip off any plans they have around utilizing Jeremy Chinn this season, says they value Chinn's skill set. They see him as a guy who can do a lot of different things and that they want to prioritize getting him on the field.
Sounds like the same thing everybody said.
Yeah, what to even make of this? Right now, we're still left with the same questions about what type of player is Jeremy Chinn. And we're still wondering.
I'm a little worried about this defense, Cody.
I am too.
I feel like I don't know if there is a plan with this defense or if it's like we're just got a bunch of players and we're going to throw them out there and just keep throwing things against the wall until it sticks. But here isn't this the conundrum with Jeremy Chinn, just period? Right. And it's not even, it's like, that's the asset. It's better to have him on the field than off the field. And it's probably hard. And I think this is when we get into these individual personnel decisions. I would have been more interested in asking him like what the mindset of like bolstering the secondary versus investing in the front four or, in the front defensive front. I think when you ask them about these specific player personnel decisions, how are you going to get a real answer when it's rookie OTAs? They don't even have the data yet of like really what's working. And like, they might have a plan for Jeremy Chinn and what they want to see, but that plan is going to have to adjust based on injury. It's going to have to adjust on how other players are dealing with the scheme. Is he adjusting? I just feel like it's premature to make a decision about what Jeremy Chinn is going to do, particularly when his main value is kind of being a floater.
Yeah. So this is short enough. This isn't going to ding us. This is Jeremy Chinn talking about how he's going to be played in this new offense or defense.
Close to the line of scrimmage again, kind of how it was, in previous years.
You like that?
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. I'll be able to be around the ball more, so that's really exciting. Talking to Evero and Coach Cooley, we have plans.
That's pretty much the end of the clip, but he says that he is excited about the opportunity to play closer to the line of scrimmage. And I think that fits his athleticism better. Just let him play aggressive, let him play downhill, let him play like that, just like that aggressive Troy Polamalu type of safety.
Well, I don't know if that's a good it's not Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu. He's more of like a down in the box guy. Those guys did they were more out there pick sixing and stuff like that.
Yeah,
though.
but they would also put him near the line and just let him intimidate you also. They were versatile, but the point being, we're still wondering what the best position for Jeremy Chinn is. And I think we're all hoping that Ejiro Evero has the secret sauce to finally be able to put him in the right place for this defense. That way we can finally get the most out of Jeremy Chinn.
All right. So let's keep going through with this defensive talk right here. Is the real discussion that we have been having on this podcast is how is this front going to adjust to the switch to a 3-4, but also the need for this is that there wasn't an answer already for Brian Burns on the other side of Brian Burns since Hassan Reddick left. And even when you had those two together, there was some liabilities in the run game with both of those types of kind of duplicated skill sets in a certain sense, right? Is that can you win in the NFL with guys that are primarily just pass rushers rather than and able to set the edge? We went out and drafted DJ Johnson.
Yeah,
if I got his name right.
Yeah, DJ Johnson.
And now there were some clips that were coming around that people liked how strong he looked. And they talked about this, his strong hands coming out is like that, his ability to bull rush, set the edge, this power play that he has. And there's a clip that was running around the internet of him hitting the bags, and people were like, oh crap, this guy is heavy handed. But really that defensive front continues to be probably, you think the perplexing part is Jeremy Chinn. Man, who is going to play on this defensive front other than Derek Brown, Brian Burns? And man, are you going to just throw this rookie to the wolves out there? This is Ejiro Evero, and this is I think the clip that got everybody on the internet concerned.
Yeah.
No, not really. We got Mr. Burns, and then we got a bunch of guys that are fighting and clawing and doing a heck of a job.
And the awkward silence right after, dude, makes it all better. God, that's not a great look, man. But this is why, Tony, I think you and I are probably most concerned about our defense. I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but I know for me it is. Like I've been saying for such a long time, we've been having this discussion around Brian Burns, and is he truly one of the elite defensive ends in the NFL? Well, part of my argument has been that even if he is, you wouldn't necessarily know it when he is the team's beginning, middle, and end at pass rusher, at getting in the backfield to affect the quarterback. And the fact that we have a bunch of unknowns opposite of him, and the Panthers haven't tried to sign Yannick Ngakoue or Leonard Floyd. Some people have been banging the table for Jadeveon Clowney, which I'm not a fan of, but whatever. A lot of people just feel that it would be another body at the position that has experience in the NFL. I understand why this pissing people off, Tony, but what do you make of it?
That's what we all knew.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like what's I guess the what pissed people off is that they admitted what we already knew. You know? I mean, that's all I could say here is that you're either going to put a lot of, look at this guy.
Yeah,
that's a left hand. That's his left. This
is DJ Johnson hitting the training dummies. But go ahead.
I think that's look, is that it's probably I think this is what made people mad, is that it's the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation is that the excitement about this team surrounds the coaching staff, the acquisition of a number one quarterback, and you're kind of relying or resting on your laurels of having a decent defense for the last couple of years. And the reality is it's not the same defense. And now here is the concern. Not only was there this sort of the liability of this team, or the kind of an unknown factor, now the coaching staff is just being adamantly open that, we got Brian Burns and we don't know what else we got. And I think that probably one of the scarier parts about that is that what happens if Brian Burns isn't ready in week one? What if something happens? Like our front is so predicated on Brian Burns that it almost seems unsafe in its nature in a certain way. And I thought it was weird not weird. I've never heard of we got Mr. Burns and everybody else fighting and clawing. It's just kind of, I think it's sobering. I think that's what this was. I think this comment was just honest and sobering. And he's right too. Let's be honest here. As I know people are happy that they root for Marquise Haynes. I am not completely out on YGM as a player in the NFL. This is the only last moment he's going to be able to prove it, though, for the Carolina Panthers is this year. But then you throw in that these guys haven't done this, so had a lot of incredible success, and this is a completely different ask of them in a 3-4. That's the kind of a bizarre part here. I think this tells us, man, it's the Carolina Panthers probably are going to be looking to add something at defensive end. I don't think it's over. Maybe it'll be as boring as just getting a player who's a veteran who's cut off of a team after, as we approach training camp or whatever, or during training camp, that couldn't make a roster on a team that has younger players. Maybe finding a guy that is a good player, but just is, in a crowded room somewhere else. Maybe it'll be as boring as that, or maybe it'll be as exciting as going and getting the Leonard Floyd or the Yannick Ngakoue. But I don't think it would be wise to roll into the season just saying we're going to go with Brian Burns and these other fighters.
So, Tony, what would you do? I mean, get Yannick Ngakoue or Kev? He's in the chat pounding the table for his boy.
Well, that's because that's South Carolina.
Of course, and dude, he's
always hurt. He is good,
always
though.
Hurt.
He is good, though. I mean, he's decent.
I feel like he's not even as good as he once was. Kev
of course he's not.
I know Kev sent in a cat call about this because he already sent in some viewing material for me to play with his cat call. But I mean, this has been, during the draft, this is my criticism. Even though I'm a big fan of Mingo and what he has the potential to be for the Panthers, I would have preferred to go D-line early in round 2.
Would it have been any different, though, Cody? No, it would have been the same. You would have had the same uncertainty if you got your pick of the litter at 39 of defensive end or whatever the player is. Name the player that you would have drafted, and guess what? We still would have come up here and saying, I don't know if that is a tenable thought.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, none of the guys that were there, BJ Ojulari, Isaiah Foskey, there was a bunch of dudes that also had a bunch of question marks, but time will tell. Look,
they could be good players, Cody. I'm not saying, but that's my. And I've always said this is that it just takes time for these guys to adjust to the league. And I mean, it's just, are you going to be able to roll throughout the season and put together a credible defense with that? Now, look, is that we did go out and put a lot of emphasis in the secondary, right? You go out and you get we got that guy from Miami that kind of come in, a veteran dude. We've got, it feels like 20 safeties on this team. You have J.C. Horn, which they already are calling it's like he's a dude that's already. It doesn't like he's like the guy. It's just about keeping him healthy. I'm sure they want Dante Jackson. I think this defense could be okay or bad. That's what I'm a little worried about. Is like we don't even have really a ton of answers at linebacker. Where actually do we have any position group on the defense that we feel better about than the offense?
I don't know. I mean, if you want to talk about our defensive backfield, there's so many questions about injuries when it comes to J.C. Horn and Dante Jackson. Are they going to be able to stay healthy? Many people are not down with C.J. Henderson. I agree with Sideshow. Safety is a solid position for us right now, but again, that's 2 to 3 players. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a good question. We've invested a lot on defense, but we're gonna need some players that are not named players right now to come up and make themselves known and be a producer on this team.
Right now, and I don't know where this list came from. I just grabbed it off of Twitter. I saw someone had ranked the secondaries in the NFL. They have the Carolina Panthers at 18 with Horn, Jackson, Henderson, Keith Taylor, Stanley. Are these players still on the team? Stanley, Thomas, Oliver? I didn't even know that. Or was that last? Is this like last? No, this is the new list because Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Howard, Kadir, Cam. This is the right listing for the Dolphins. I guess this Panthers team right now is built from back to front, and you're gonna really need. I don't know. I really hope that this defense. We got to hope that the mastermind Ejiro Evero is there and that he can make kind of chicken salad out of chicken shit in a certain way. All right, Cody, that's it. Really, there's really nothing else to talk about when it comes to. Man, we could have played this other. I mean, it's like, look, as they're trying to figure out who they've got on the other side of Brian Burns. We
have one more Ejiro Evero clip. Okay. It's only 49 seconds. Let's just play that. And then we can get into some calls.
It's technically and fundamentally than they've done in the past. And we're really just focused in on that. We're not worried about depth charts or anything like that. We're just trying to get better. And it really doesn't matter, even if you're a solidified guy like Brian Burns and JC or somebody that's, trying to fight to make the team. Like the only thing that we can all control is just getting better and being the best versions of ourselves. And so that's all we're emphasizing and working on. And, as we work through, those things will sort itself out.
Do any of those guys seem more natural in that process than others after making some degree of transition?
They're all doing a really good job. They're all working hard. They're all getting better. We've seen great improvement from the first day of that first time we went on the field for the veteran minicamp till now. So there's been a lot of ground covered, and so we're just got to keep doing a lot.
All right. Again, I mean, kind of a little more of the same.
Yeah. The defense is an unknown. It's going to be, it's that's where I'm saying is like, we kind of mentioned, or you guys, and I would say that you are kind of guilty of this a little bit too, is saying that the offensive line, because it was good last year, is going to be good this year. Right. And I think it's just like, yeah, it was a strength, but will it continue to be a strength? I don't think we have a reason to believe that the offensive line is going to go backwards, right? So I think it is reasonable to say we've added enough to the rotation. As long as these injuries, we can work through them, and it seems like these guys are, it should continue to be at least where it was, maybe better as you see players get more experience. But this is one of those things that for the defense, just because it's been better than average, or average of it, like we got a lot of unknowns here. Defensive, a transition in system, new players, new all of this, and we're just gonna have to see it, man. Before I can tell
you can also tell in the way coaches answer, in the way that they give their answers. Like, you know how you said earlier, they're still trying to learn the names of everyone on the team, let alone knowing what player is going to fit in where. You know, a lot of people are doing their far too early roster projections. I think it's way too early to do any of that stuff right now. There's just so many unknowns when it comes to how our linebacker position is going to look. I mean, we haven't even mentioned that. Yeah, I want to see Brandon Smith really bad. I love his athleticism. I love his sideline to sideline ability. And that's another player where we don't even know if he's going to be a starter or if they're going to have him riding the bench. Is Shaq Thompson going to be an inside linebacker? Just a lot of unknowns right now. A lot of unknowns, and you can tell.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's go ahead and get into the cat calls. The number's 252-228-5098. We want to hear your thoughts on these OTAs, Bryce Young's size, and what you think about this defense. Chicken salad, chicken shit, or some ingredients to play with. Let's go ahead and jump into these calls.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in the snow? Who's that kid that can use one?
Yo, it's White Chocolate Espresso. Slow day for Panther news. I guess, you know, I've been pushing this thing, this narrative. I guess, not narrative, agenda. It's the word I'm looking for. I want Clowney on this team. Jadeveon Clowney. To me, he is a must, and we can get him cheap. Cody, I sent you the PFF scores. I sent you, his stats and everything. Pull them up. Show the people. And tell me y'all don't want this man on your team. Or we don't need him. The dude is a run-stuffing defensive end. He does everything that our DC wants. He's played outside linebacker. He's played defensive end. He's played a 3-4. He's played a 4-3. He's very versatile, which is what we like here. And last year he signed with the Browns 1 year, $11 million. We can get him cheaper. And by the way, 2 years ago, had more sacks than Brian Burns. And better rushing defense and pass defense. So, pull it up, Cody. Peace.
So he's shared a lot of stuff here. He's showing Brian Burns' 2021 season stats compared to Clowney in 2022. And I mean, again, if you're going by PFF, he did have some decent numbers overall in run defense and pass rush. Again, 3 sacks. I mean, it's not a ton of production. Then the year before, 2021, he had 11 sacks. That would have been tied for 11th in the NFL. I mean, I don't know, man. I guess you could do worse than Jadeveon Clowney. I worry that he's a little bit injury prone.
It would help though. I think who cares? He's way better than any of the things that we got right now. I think that's the real point here is like, yeah, we're not talking about building around him for the future. We're talking about getting through this season. The question is, do you want to take out the rental, the short-term lease, which with Clowney, he's made a bunch of money in his career, so you could go and get that. Or do you go desperate? I almost feel like that would probably be the safer route than paying Yannick or somebody else. And because that's going to cost.
If he's going to end up being cheaper, then yeah, I'm for it.
Who cares if it's $10 million? Who really cares if it's $10 million? Like if we
that we're
have the
also-
money to do
Yeah.
it and cover it, as long as it doesn't affect us into the problem with salary cap is not overpaying somebody on 1 year. It's paying them where it catches up to you the year after. So fuck it. If we got $12 million, I'd rather instead of saving $12 million and getting 3 players that suck, than get 1 player that we think might make an impact.
Yeah. Hey, former number 1 overall pick in the draft. I mean, if he's the cheaper option and if he's healthy and if he's willing to come in and be that perfect complement to what we're looking to do, yeah, do it, man.
I'm kind of interested in why Yannick Ngakoue hasn't signed. Like, why wasn't he one of those guys that got the big deal?
But I keep on hearing that he's asking for a big deal, but apparently the market isn't looking to pay him that much of a big deal. So I don't know, man.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, now the more I think about it, and I hate to agree with Kev, because he's just a Gamecock fan,
and he's a veteran too.
Yeah, he's a veteran, and to be honest, I think DJ Johnson could learn a lot from Jadeveon Clowney type of player.
Go get him.
Yeah.
Go get him. I'm on the Clowney. I'm convinced we need Jadeveon Clowney. Let's go to the next goal.
What's up, man? This is JC, longtime listener, the first time caller.
What's up, JC?
Panther fan. I actually host a college football show talking about West Virginia football, kind of similar to what you guys do for the Panthers. But I grew up in Statesville, like from the 90s to the early 2000s. So I've been a Panthers fan since the jump, really, though. But I moved to West Virginia in my teenage years. But anyway, I had to call in for the first time because I've seen recently that we're giving a camp invite to Gary Jennings from the XFL Battlehawks. He came from WVU, and he was really good at WVU. You can look up his highlights there. But also recently, just heard him on a podcast a couple of weeks ago talking about the only reason he hadn't made his shot in the NFL yet because his last 2 times he felt like he was about to be on the roster and ended up getting injured. So he said if he gets another shot, he feels like he's really ready to make an NFL roster. And they were talking about the trick play that he scored on for the Battlehawks. He had the highest speed that was not only in the XFL document of that season, but would have been the highest speed at the NFL level too last year. So he's really gotten a lot faster since his time at WVU. And I know we got a lot of bodies at wide receiver, but I'm telling you guys, watch out for Gary Jennings to maybe make the roster because he can play special teams too. But I appreciate all you guys do. Keep pounding. Let's fucking go Panthers. Bryce Young, Rookie of the Year.
Hey, Rookie of the Year. I like that. Hey, we love first-time callers, people that call in for the first time. And, hey, man, continue doing your West Virginia show, man. We
drop the name next time. We're going to check it out. And that's also, this is the type of audience that needs to know about those types of names, too. Everybody knows about Bryce Young. Speaking of some guys that are...
you said Gary Jennings, right?
Right. Yeah, he did. It's not the guy, because we signed a defensive guy. Who's the defensive guy we signed from the XFL or something today or yesterday? Antoine. What, Twan? Twan signed with the damn Panthers.
Oh, shit. Way to go, Twan.
Way to go from a podcast. Man, he's going to get all the interviews now.
Bro, he's the man. I mean, no, listen, we've been signed. I know we signed 3 players up from the XFL. I'm trying to find the
here's
list
a cool.
of them again.
Here's
and
another.
Again, I am 100% honest and open. I am so. You know how you're turned off by the draft?
Yeah.
Just because to you it's pointless. Anything having to do with the XFL, I'm thoroughly bored the moment you're done saying L. I don't give a damn. They might as well be undrafted players to me.
Here's another one. Here's a little nostalgia for you. Austin Prohl, or at least Austin Prohl, son of Ricky Prohl, former. Ricky Prohl was the former Panthers wide receiver. Austin Prohl is former Carolina Tar Heel, is kind of trying to be that unsigned, undrafted rookie free agent. And Kevin Green, who's a Pro Football Hall of Fame pass rusher, spent the last 2 seasons of his career in the NFL. He's 25-year-old linebacker. He's trying to make this team. Kevin Green passed away a couple of years ago as from a heart attack. So this is pretty neat stuff, or at least sentimental. you kind of I root for these types of guys. These are the stories that this podcast lives on, because look at these news cycles, man. Everybody knows Bryce Young's name. We're trying to talk about the people on the bubble a lot of times. So thanks for that insight there. Cody, bored at the XFL. I have, you know what is,
I did find a clip of him. Do you think we'll get hit if we play it's a 12-second clip with no sound?
Nah, let's try it.
Okay.
Who cares? Maybe I'm having big numbers right now anyway.
This is for you, JC. This is your boy Gary Jennings in the XFL, clocked at 22.5 miles an hour.
This is Keaton Mitchell speed right here. A lot of control running there.
Yeah,
he doesn't look that fast. I hate to say that. It kind of was stumbling and bumbling a little. Let's see.
Again, wide
Look, he's so fast he can't even, his own body can't keep up with his feet. There it is. Yeah.
Hey, no, listen, no. Let me be kind to JC, right? If Demir Bird can be a player that is productive for the Carolina Panthers and has been before, there's no reason Gary Jennings can't do the same thing, man. We just need competent people with good hands that can run routes precisely. And if that's going to be him, hey, man, I'm down for it.
Special teams, though, is a big deal. That's where these guys make this team, right? That's the look, as they asked Tabor today about the Birdman, right? And the conversation comes in with special teams. If you're a guy who isn't an elite player, you got to live on the special teams unit. Hell, Ron Rivera put Brian Burns on the special teams unit. Nobody's safe. That's where you got to make. That's how you get from the bubble to the roster. Let's go to the next call. The number is 252-228-5098.
It's me, C-Dog 1983. I have seen a video of Bryce Young.
C-Dog,
even with the offensive linemen, in their down position, they were still taller than this motherfucker. Like, oh my God. They even had a little black Adam Scheffner app on Facebook, whatever. I mean, I don't know. This dude is so fucking miniature, man, like the fucking leprechaun out there. I don't know what the fuck he's telling me. He come out and prove me otherwise. I'll shut the fuck up. That ass, and he did but until then, I gotta see something. God, and it's like, God, he was so fucking little, man. We got the thing about him. But besides that, we will see. Anybody that's going to the week 1 game in Atlanta, I'll live in Atlanta. So you want to hang out with C-Dog 1983, got that fuck with me. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you come in here, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the great fucking content. Your boys go live every Friday. And they go live before the game, and they have the game simulations on Saturday.
That's it.
That being said, everybody have a great fucking weekend. Keep pounding. And good night.
Keep pounding. We'd love to see Dog. You're the homie. I harken back to what I said earlier, Tony. There are fans that are within their right, especially after everything that we've been through, to hold their reservations until they see Bryce Young prove it in the NFL. And that's just the nature of the beast. I'm a believer. I think that we're going to put a good enough offense around him where Bryce Young is going to be able to thrive and hit the ground running. Josh Klein put out a tweet during rookie minicamp. This wasn't put on video, but Bryce Young was already making tight window throws downfield, even to just the backups, the undrafted free agent players. So again, that's what I said to you earlier, Tony. I want him to prove everything to us. I don't even want us to put him in this box of he's going to be a short little dink and dunk quarterback, because that's probably not going to be true. We don't know what's going to be true until he gets out there and on the field and playing NFL football. And one more thing, no, C-Dog, I am not going to the Atlanta game week 1, but I am going to Bryce Young and his home opener with the Carolina Panthers week 2, Monday Night Football. So if y'all would like to hit me up and hang out beforehand on some Monday Night Football, we can do that too. Holla at your boy.
All right, next call.
What's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte.
What's up,
As y'all
Anthony?
know, just wanted to call in. Hope those days are going okay. As I said last week, not much to talk about. Hopefully, what I'm trying to say is, last week I called in saying that this is kind of the period of time where there's not that much news to talk about because it's in between it's after the draft, but it's before training camp, and at least so we'll be able to see some more content of players running around. I know they won't be in pads or anything, but it'll still be cool to get that content. I think the biggest takeaway is what our coaches have been saying in these press conferences. And, first I just want to start out for all the people that think Andy Dalton's going to be starting. Thomas Brown came out today and said that Bryce Young is taking some reps with the ones already. Besides Andy Dalton, it's clear that he's going to be the starter. I just think that you can't, no matter who the quarterback is, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, those guys didn't walk in automatically the first team reps because you're a rookie. You at least need to get to have reps under your belt, of playing like in an NFL system kind of, and getting to learn that part of it. But the main reason I called in is because of what our staff said about this edge rusher position. And man, I've come out and said recently that I really think that the offense is in a better position than our defense. Like, there's been some argument on Twitter today saying, oh, well, we already out on Coach Evero. No, not at all. I think Coach Evero is going to do a good job with this defense. It's just, I don't know if you can turn bad to okay players into amazing players just because of the coaching. That's very hard to do. I know Bill Belichick's great at doing that, because he's always been a defensive coach. That's the one thing I'll give him credit for. But I don't know if Evero's at that tier. What I'm getting at is that we still need to sign a veteran edge rusher. I think we really do. Hopefully Scott Fitter and company is waiting till the market goes down for these prices for these guys, because Evero said today, we Mr. Burns and a bunch of guys that are working at it for the position. Like, a bunch of guys isn't going to cut it this time around like it did last year. I don't want our defensive unit to be ranked 20th in sacks and pressures, because then you're putting a lot of pressure on J.C. Horn in the secondary. And to be honest, all the Panthers teams that we've had that have been great have had strong, dominant defensive lines. So I just wanted to give your thought.
Yeah, I think it cut him off. Yeah, we just got done saying that, Anthony. Tony, we were saying this at the end of the year last year, that we needed more edge help. And I do like what you're saying right there. Maybe Fitter is waiting until literally the last moment. And to be honest, he still has time. Yeah. As long as they are there before the start of training camp, then I think we're good.
Well, according to Ndamukong Suh, he's not even going to a team until after training camp. He said, I don't want nothing to do with no training camp. I've already done them.
Can you blame him?
I know, it's awesome. But yeah, this team is invested a lot on all the investment has been on the offense and the coaching staff right now. Yeah. It's fine. Like, hey, look, let's see what they can do. Let's see what they can do. Can you take a mid-tier defense and make them? Man, if this is a defense that finishes in the top 20, I'm going to be happy. Or maybe not happy. Maybe that's not the right. If we're a top 15 defense, I'm going to be like, hell yeah, this guy's awesome. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
There's a lot of question marks on the defense. There's a lot of players that we're rooting for. You mentioned Brandon Smith. Some people, look, Amari Barno. It's just like we don't know what any of these guys are. And we'll see.
You remember 2 years ago when the Panthers started out 3-0, that's when we went and we made moves and we added CJ Henderson, who at the time we thought was a good trade. And it also, to me, I just don't see our new GM, Scott Fitterer, twiddling his thumbs if the Carolina Panthers going into this season still have some kind of glaring need on the team.
It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah,
there is going to be an end that's added to this group. Mark my words, there will be a defensive
Yeah, I
end
think me and you both just made up our minds right now. I think that's destined to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to hear at some point someone being signed to this team. And by the way, that's not even saying that they don't like some of the guys that they have. I'm sure they do, but they just can't realistically rely on these no-name guys being these high-level producers for them.
All right, let's go to the next call.
What up, guys? This is Dave, and I'm trying to get in my cat call after watching the offensive and defensive coordinators for the Panthers talk about their plans for this season. I wanted to address the defense and what Evero had to say. One of the people he talked about was Jeremy Chinn. David Newton asked the question about what kind of position and how important Jeremy Chinn would be to this defense. He really avoided the question altogether. He didn't give a whole lot of answers to what it would be. I have watched Jordan Rodriguez, who covers the Panthers before, and she outlined how she felt Jeremy Chinn would be the star of this defense moving forward. In other words, he'll play all over the field. Jeremy Chinn is going to be a vital role to the Panthers next season, and that's why Ejiro was scared to comment on him during the press conference. He doesn't want to tip his hand. He doesn't want to let other teams know how important Chinn will be to this defense. I think he'll play in multiple positions. I think you'll see him on the edge sometimes. I think you'll see him in the middle of the field. I feel like he's mostly going to cover backs and tight ends. If you look at his stats throughout the season, that's where he's been most effective. Chinn will be important going forward, and he's going to be a star of his defense. He may even lead the team in tackles. He's going to really watch the short passing game and the running game. It's going to be important there. That's why we picked up Vaughn. Vaughn's going to do a little bit of the same, but probably be a little better in deep coverage, which a lot of people have complained about Jeremy Chinn's ability to cover deep. That's why we picked him up. Those two together is going to be a formidable team for our defense. Another thing I wanted to point out was the pickup today of B.J. Wilson, 6'6", 337 pounds. He was invited to the Shrine Bowl game before he tore his ACL. I feel like Wilson could be that swing tackle that we've been looking for. Even though we did re-sign some guys that could play that role, Wilson may be the one of the future. Maybe he plays on the scout team this year, but develops well going into the future. I want to thank the C3 Panthers podcast for having me on tonight. If you haven't joined C3, join now. But like and subscribe. Join the C3 community. Share and be a part of the podcast. It's the only podcast that's for the fans and by the fans. No matter what you do, I want you to do this. Keep pounding, C3.
Keep pounding. Yo, shout out to Don D's Ill Skills. That's the brand ambassador, baby.
Yeah, it is.
See, dude, he's been carrying the torch of C3 online, on YouTube, on Twitter, in the cat calls, on the Friday free-for-alls. Dude, Deez is the man. And yeah, I do like what you said. There's I think Jeremy Chinn is poised to be more important to this defense than any other defense has been on for the Panthers.
I think it's pretty clear he's going to be part of the linebacker group, though. More
either way, I trust it.
Von Bell is the strong safety. You can't have two strong safeties out there.
Yeah, but also knowing that Ejiro Evero, a lot of the things that he was able to do well with his safeties and linebackers last year for the Denver Broncos, to me that shows a lot of promise for Jeremy Chinn. So yeah, I'm and one more thing. He mentioned B.J. Wilson, and I did look him up a little bit. His film is promising. He's been hurt a couple of times, but dude, I've just learned my lesson, man. I'm just not gonna get excited about these bubble guys until they turn out to be something
Kamir Burdish.
Yeah, but dude, I mean, listen, I was really big on Deontay Brown, who's still on the team. I still am a fan of Deontay Brown. I hope that they would give him a chance. I'll probably never see it. I remember before the start of last year, we were pumping up Davion Nixon, a 6th-round defensive tackle that we got.
I'm done with
Iowa.
all of those. From
man,
Bravion
like,
Roy to all of these.
I'm done hearing about it, dude.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Call me a pessimist, but I'm not going to put too much stock into any of these XFL players, into any of these undrafted players until they give me a reason to do so. Like, I know everybody wants to have that moment where, like, I told you he was going to be a badass in the NFL, but dude, whatever. It's such a crapshoot that I'm not going to put a lot of stock into these unproven players. Can't do it.
All right, next call.
Y'all know who the fuck it is. Boyka. I'm just kidding. This Chase.
What up, bro?
People talking about Bryce Young's size is getting ridiculous. He's 5'10", 195 pounds. He's the size of an average grown man. I mean, literally average size. Maybe a little thicker than average. Average man is 5'9", 170 pounds. Google it. People talking about like he's like less than 5 foot tall or something and like 90 pounds or 60 pounds. Dude, just average size. Just because he's not an athletic freak size guy doesn't mean he's not going to work. Come on now. Get out of here with that shit. And Tony, please don't make me sad and not be able to listen to the podcast on streaming services tomorrow or Thursday. It really broke my heart last week.
I got it up. It just took 2 days. 3 days now.
People depend on it, man.
I know, man. I know.
We're a part of their daily life or their weekly schedule, man. They got to have their C3 Panthers podcast.
True. All right. Looks like the last call of the night.
Hey, what's up, fellas? The Real AP here. I just tuned in a few minutes ago, and we're missing 2 of the dudes, man. Bat Daddy and
CK.
Greg. But anyway, I hope those dudes are doing all right.
Goat problems
when did we as
and
fans
baby
become
problems. It's all good.
Coaches and GMs and everything else and players. I know some of us have played football up to the college level, but we've not been in this position before. The Panthers have not been in this position before. And so I'm going to stick by them, man. I mean, look at the coaching tree. They obviously, hopefully, know what they're doing in drafting these cats. I mean, so I'm just, hey, like Rule said, trust the process. Maybe now we can really trust the process and let these guys get after it, man. And they got, like I said, good coaching tree. And we can get after it. And hopefully in the next year or 2, I'm not calling for big things this year. Maybe 7-10, 8-9, man. That's what I'm looking at. But the next year, when we start building, I mean, geez, man, these people come here for a reason. And they believe in something. And they're believing in keep pounding. And that's all I'm preaching right now, is to keep mofo pounding. Peace.
Yes, sir. Keep pounding. Hey, man, look, we have our time to bicker amongst each other, but it's going to get close to game time, man. And it's going to be Panthers against the fucking world, you hear? And it's going to be time for Panthers fans to come together and really jump on this bandwagon, dude. I'm going to continue to say it. Bryce is going to have every detractor coming at him from left and right. So that's our little dude now, bro. That's our little bro. I'm always feeling protective over him. And you know what it is, Tony? There really is a lot of fans of other teams. Maybe it's just because I'm on Twitter more than I probably should be. But there's a lot of fans of other teams that really feel like the Panthers are just the butt of every joke. Like they think that we're just we're a walking joke, and that Bryce Young is a midget quarterback about to be collapsed by NFL offensive linemen. So I'm pulling for my dude, man. I'm pulling for Bryce.
Of course we are. Of course we are. And that's the thing is we're all on board with him. And, you know, look, is we're supposed to be the butt of opposing teams' jokes, particularly NFC South. They're the butt of mine, right? Like, and really, it's probably easy pickings right now when it comes to the Carolina Panthers. Not probably, it is. It's been 5 years of putrid football. Or, I mean, really is we are in we need a comeback right now. We need something that brings us back to the center of being a consistent, while not consistent winning. We've never won back-to-back seasons, but being a competitive team, you know, fielding a competitive team. And the Matt Rule era on the back end of 2 years of struggling Ron Rivera and Cam Newton injured era it's been a long road. And what you get is you get a bunch of other teams in here. You get the Bucs have won a Super Bowl in that time. The Saints have been better than expected, given the tail end of Drew Brees and beyond. Their defense held up better. And really, if it wasn't the Atlanta Falcons stinking, man, it would be all teams shitting on us at this point. But now we don't have any excuses now. We got our quarterback. Let's go out and let's prove them wrong. And that's great. That's why football's fun. That's why I'm a fan, is like, let them talk their shit because I'm ready to talk my shit. And boy, when we start winning, I'm going to be talking. I'm waiting. I'm sitting. I'm waiting patiently. Here. I'm excited. I'm optimistic. But I'm not going to go out there and count my chickens before they hatch. That's, I think, where I am with Bryce Young. I am not worried about Bryce Young. I'm optimistic. I'm excited. But at the same time, there's no sense in me going and telling you he's going to be the next Joe Montana. Right now, I want him to go and be Bryce Young and be good at it. So, look, I have a lot of faith that they made this decision carefully. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But right now, all we can hope is that it does. And when we say work out, we want it to turn into him being a name that's in the conversation of Joe Burrow, that's in the name of Patrick Mahomes, that's in the name of Justin Herbert. If we sniff anywhere to that, it's a massive success.
Oh, absolutely, man. And that's what we're hoping for. You know, if again, I've said on the show before, I have no problem comparing him against other number one picks, Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence in recent years. And again, a lot of people are not sold on Kyler Murray, but Kyler Murray went to a Pro Bowl, so that is at least a point of reference and comparison to Bryce and how fast he does or doesn't hit the ground running. But like I said, man, I'm defending my quarterback. That's my quarterback, Bryce Young. You know, I'm going to support whoever goes out there first for the Panthers. You want to jump into this, Tony?
Okay. This is an interesting question here. What quarterback has the most to prove next season? Let's go. It goes from Russell Wilson to Justin Fields to Jordan Love to I guess that's Trey Lance, number 5.
There's a lot of them. A lot of good answers just on this list alone.
How about this? Is we can't say who has the most to prove out of this list because
were you able to hear that?
A little bit. Yeah, was that thunder?
Yeah, I got my window open. It's raining pretty bad over here, thunder and lightning. So if I disappear, you know what happened.
There is not an objective answer to this. So who has the most to prove to you?
Oh man, dude, my mind goes so many different ways, right? Like part of me wants to say Jordan Love, just because the Packers have this tradition of going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, and the fact that they're passing the torch to him in the same way, it's like, all right, what's it going to be? He's been on the bench behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years. Deshaun Watson, dude,
yeah, he's my
Cleveland
second.
Paying him all that guaranteed money, and I mean now people are back talking like the Browns are going to be one of the better teams in football. And listen, I know it's very popular for everybody to shit on Deshaun because of everything that he's done and been a part of now. I still think he's an incredible football player. And I don't think it's too far-fetched that he's going to return to his old ways. You know what? Who I might say is number one? God, there's so many good names on this list. It's probably Tua Tagovailoa, right?
Oh, really?
I mean,
Okay.
if they don't, if he isn't able to stay healthy for the entirety of this season, they're probably looking to move on, huh?
Oh yeah. They are. Unless they, I would argue if they don't make a strong playoff push, they're going to move on. Right? They're going to go try to land whoever the next big free agent available. Try to go get whoever the next Aaron Rodgers of that moment is. I don't know if there's going to be a guy at that point. Maybe try to get Tom Brady out of retirement. I think for me is I think it's Russell Wilson for me. I kind of need to see. Look, is like for me is Jared Goff. I know who Jared Goff is. He's a pretty good player. I mean, he's just right. Dak Prescott again. I think we already know who he is. To me, it kind of comes down to I think it's Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson have the most to prove. I think Justin Fields needs to prove. He needs to improve, right? As long as he improves, I think that'll be enough. Jordan Love I don't even know. I've never even seen this guy throw a football. I have
That's
no
what I'm
idea.
saying. Like,
I mean, how does he? I mean, even if he just completes a pass, he proves something to me. Like, I think it's like that left column from top to bottom. Russell Wilson, Tua, and Deshaun. I mean, to me, look, I kind of think I know who Tua is. He's a pretty good player that people are always going to say not great enough to get you over the hump. I want to know if Russell Wilson is cooked, if he's done, if it's over. And you kind of wonder, is karma destroyed Deshaun Watson? Those are the two questions I need answered. I think we already know the other guys, particularly, look, New England, that guy, he's just okay. He's not even okay. So glad we didn't, is like those guys. Yeah. I think we know a lot about the other guys. I think the big question to me is Russell Wilson. Is he toast? Is he cooked?
Yeah,
is he cooking or is he cooked?
They're probably going to move on from him after this year. Dude, I heard even if they did, it would be like $70 million. And
they can't. They're going to have to keep him for another year. They're stuck with him. They're stuck with him. And we'll see.
I'm so happy.
That's going to be an interesting. We're all going to be watching Denver this year.
Who are you hoping to fail more, Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson?
I think it's Deshaun for me now. And I hate Russell. I've always disliked Russell Wilson, but I've learned I didn't dislike Deshaun Watson until he just invaded my life so much with because it was part of our podcast for so long. I'm just irritated every time I hear his name now.
Dude, I'm so salty about Super Bowl 50. So it's
right. So you just want Denver to
I want Denver to be fucking terrible. And how about this? If Russell Wilson has a bad season, so does Sean Payton.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just kind of interested to see. I'm interested in that Denver. Like, do we get to really see? Now we get to really see is Sean Payton the mastermind everybody said he was?
Oh, how about
what if he's a letdown?
Man, yeah, but I mean, he's going to be there longer than Russell Wilson would be. What about Trey Lance? Do you think it's going to be Sam Darnold in San Francisco?
I almost feel like Trey Lance is probably third in the lineup.
Sam Darnold, then Brock Purdy, and then Trey Lance.
Yeah, and I would not. I know. Maybe
have you seen Trey Lance's hairline?
It's so bad, dude.
It's weird. Like a 20-something-year-old dude.
It's weird.
That hairline is. Somebody needs to tell him that we lifted the COVID restrictions because his hairline is social distancing from his forehead, bro.
He needs to just shave it. He needs to shave his head. He needs to shave. He got, the joke is you got when somebody has a big forehead, you say they got a 5 head. he got like a 27 head. That thing, it just keeps going. Like his hair starts where my earphones are at right here across the top. Like that's where his hair starts. Yeah, it's wild. And I wouldn't be surprised. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if Sam Darnold's comeback player of the year, dude.
I know, Tony. Dude, so many Panther fans, so many Panther fans want to shit all over Sam. Dude, I think him being on a good football team
with Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, dude.
Oh God,
people aren't.
I would put some money on it right now. Like I would go ahead and take that. Like I would go ahead and put $5.
I'm with you.
I'd put $5 on Sam Darnold comeback player of the year. All right, is that all we got before we hit the news?
Yep. No, that's all.
We got the news.
Yep, let's hit the news bumper. If I can find it, we need to clean this up. There's like a million different
bumpers now that we don't use.
Okay, I got it.
All right, let's check out the NFL news. Just a little bit of talk right here is I found this. There is an unbearably long story on The Athletic right now. I know that they're committed to long form content. I tried reading this thing today, and I'm a fast reader. I've skimmed a lot.
Do it.
I was just like, man, I'm just tired of reading about Davante Adams. It's like, look, is what it turns out. Well, this is cool, though. The one cool part about this story, this is the headline, or this is how we've been seeing it reported. I think the Athletic story kind of highlighted this, is that the kind of feature part of this article that they were saying to look for was, we don't see eye to eye on what we think is best for us right now, Davante Adams. I'm going to have to buy into this and try to be as optimistic as possible. It's not what I expected to happen, but it's something that's the reality now. Really, the story was not much about that. At the end of the day, I think is that he believed in Derek Carr. Him and Derek, and I think that he probably sees Jimmy Garoppolo as a lateral move at best, kind of floating around. I just don't think he really probably has a lot of faith in maybe the coaching staff and the management of this team. But really the focal point of this argument, Cody, was about how important it was for him to be all pro, make the all pro team. And he told the team, like the front office, to text him as soon as they find out the list, whether he was on it or not. And it was really important to him. They say this is his third all pro team nod in a row. He's chasing after Jerry Rice, who had 5 all-pro nods in a consecutive all-pro nods. But what it was is it really seemed to mean a lot that he wanted to prove that he was a great player, not a good receiver with a great quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. It was very important to his legacy in his mind to differentiate his success and not just say it was built and predicated on Aaron Rodgers. I thought that was a little interesting. I thought it was interesting that it's become that important to him. On the other hand, what I took away from this, Cody, that was really neat is to see a guy who believes, they said his confidence in himself is at an all-time high. Like he really, truly believes he's the best. And I think that's cool, right? It's like he's walking into the build, like saying, I'm the best kind of to ever do it type mentality. I don't think he's saying he is the best to ever do it. That's how he approaches. That's the level of
he's
play.
Not wrong for thinking that way. But Tony, you know what I get from this? So remember, he left Green Bay, went to the Raiders, and the idea is that he was going back with his college quarterback. Remember, him and Derek Carr were boys. They were close. They broke a lot of records at Fresno State, where they played. And now he has McDaniels in the building. I am not a fan of McDaniels. And I think just like when he was with the Denver Broncos all those years ago with Tim Tebow, I think he's going to flame out again. And
I mean, it kind of already has in his first year. It looks so bad.
Yeah, and now they got Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think that's one of the criticisms that Devontae Adams has is that he's just, they're going to be dinking and dunking all over the field. I doubt he's even going to see as many touches as he would actually want. I'm gonna go ahead and predict this now. Adams will be traded before the deadline.
Oh, nice. Oh, where does he go?
Yeah, and that's going to be depending on what teams
What if he went to
are.
like KC? Oh, nope, division. Can't go to division. He'd have to go somewhere like who would be?
Panthers are balling out, and we just like.
Oh, that would be cool. What if he went to like
Devontae.
the Eagles?
Nah, fuck that. They're already loaded.
They have so many players.
I know, that's embarrassing.
I know. All right, what's next?
Next
Oh, this is awesome. I like this. This is the son of John Fossil, the old head coach of the New York Giants. And he might have been our special teams coordinator for a year at some point. I can't remember. But this is his son, John Fossil. And he said right now, Cowboys special teams coordinator John Fossil considering anybody else on earth for a potential kicker edition. And this comes after that playoff game where the guy missed 4 extra points or some shit in that game or something, where it was like, or maybe it was in 2 playoff games or something like that, or maybe it was the week before the playoffs. Remember that? He missed all of those, and then they got to the point where they weren't even going to use them.
Yeah.
They were even going to dress them, and they were like, man, we're just going to go for it every time on 4th down.
Yeah. Man.
Just a funny story. Just funny.
Yeah.
Hey, look, kicker problems, and that is
we know about those.
Yeah, and speaking of, Chris Tabor was asked about it. So what do we get? I missed a call. Oh
yeah. Joey has Joey said.
All right, let's play it right now before he gets.
I told you I got you, Joey.
Hey guys, it's the growl that makes him howl, aka Joey the Blind Panther, and I wanted to talk to you guys about the schedule. Ooh, the schedule came out after draft day. Then there's the schedule. And if you're a nerd like me, you care. And if you're not, you still care because you really start to see, or you really start to envision the way the season's going to go. Not quite like you do when training camp hits, but you know what I mean. And for me, it's when I figure out which road game I'm going to, which, by the way, is Nashville. Thanksgiving weekend, the weekend after we play the Cowgirls at Bank of America Stadium, assuming it keeps its name. That's going to be fun, although annoying, because the Cowgirls fans are going to be taking up all our parking, drinking up all our beer, eating up all our food, and David Tepper's not going to give 2.5 shits because he's going to be making a bunch of money. But aside from that, I wanted to ask you guys about the primetime games. I had a feeling that we were going to play Chicago in primetime because Chicago, they love putting Chicago in primetime because obviously it's a big market, they love putting it in prime time, or putting the Bears in prime time. I figured we were going to go in one of those prime time slots because of the, number 1 pick and DJ Moore storyline and also PJ Walker. But the thing that shocked me is Monday night, the Saints in week 2. Yeah, that's
baby.
I thought we would get flexed into a Monday night game. I didn't think they'd give us one right off the bat. Oh, and how likely is it, in you guys' opinion, that we get flexed into either another 425 slot or another primetime game? I think if we're good, I think they're going to flex Houston or Jacksonville, or they're going to flex any AFC South team except Tennessee, because I don't think anyone's going to have much faith in Tennessee this year, but it could shock you. It's the NFL, anything could happen. But anyway, guys,
Nice. The ground that makes them howl. We appreciate you, bro. And by the way, Tony, they can flex any game. No game is safe this season.
Oh, nice.
So
That's a
they
cool thing.
they used to have protected games. Nah, not no more. But even Thursday night football, they can flex those in a minute, which does suck. Imagine now you're, I don't know. That just seems pretty suck to all of a sudden you have a Thursday night matchup. I don't know.
Oh, well, I mean, wouldn't it be flex though? A flex would just really put you from the 1 o'clock to the like prime, like Sunday night or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe. But yeah, it could screw up travel plans. That could be a big problem.
Yeah.
Man, going to NFL games is for the rich, dude.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, I want to go ahead and say this too. I want to be on record with this. I love the way our schedule opened up on the road, at the Falcons, at home against the Saints. Bryce Young has the potential in his first 2 games to be legendary for the Carolina Panthers. If he comes out and puts it down on the Falcons and the Ants, come on, dude. Like that would be the best memory to start Bryce Young's rookie career, is to put it to those 2 teams. Dude, it makes my heart flutter, man.
No doubt. All right. Also, Christian McCaffrey still intertwined with the Carolina Panthers. Going to the 49ers, best thing that ever happened to him.
Yeah.
I mean, can you really blame him, though? Another guy whose hairline is on the struggle, too.
Oh yeah, his is more toward the middle. I'm gonna play the Instagram.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you got that
clip that you sent me.
I was obviously fired up. But there's a lot of emotions that comes with that. To be honest, I was a captain on that team. I've been there 5 years, played some good football there. Was on a couple of good teams, was on some bad teams. But when you commit to a team and you're a part of something that's bigger than yourself, it's a lot of people are, in hindsight, I firmly believe it's the best thing that ever happened to me. But at the time, it was bittersweet, right? I mean, you're leaving. In my head, I was pissed off, to be frank. I felt like you guys don't want me anymore. And that's what it is. And it is what it is. And so I was hungry. I think that was the first emotion. I was hungry to kind of get back to the football that I knew I could play. And then I stepped in the huddle, and you got, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Trent Williams, Brandon Ayuk. You got guys all over the place who can play. I felt like I was on a Pro Bowl roster, and I thought, man, this team can really be something. Not to mention they kicked our ass 2 weeks ago, so I didn't have to play against them, which was great. But no, I mean there was a lot of emotions that came at once, but I didn't have any time to really settle in because I got traded at 11:30 p.m. There was,
Yeah, it started over.
All right.
So, I mean, again, I don't blame him for any of the things that he said. And you know what? Like, we're not NFL players. If you still felt like you were a premier player in the NFL and you had been busting your ass for a specific organization and then they just traded you away, like us as fans, we look at it like, oh, well, he was a running back that we were paying a ton of money. And yeah, he was injured a lot. But if you're a player and you've been, Christian McCaffrey was the beginning, middle, and end of the Carolina Panthers offense for the past 3 years. Who is anyone to tell him that he doesn't deserve to feel some type of way about it?
I'll tell him. I would just tell him I'm surprised he felt some type of way. And what I meant by that is I'm surprised that when the players, maybe not surprised, maybe this just reminded me that regardless of it being a business, that there is a human and emotional component to it. I just figured this is Christian McCaffrey was wasting away in his mind was a premier player on a bad team with a freaking coaching staff that was a bizarre mess, with a fan base that continued to talk about how important or how injury prone he was. And I thought that going to a team making a playoff run would be like, hey, this is good for everybody. And just an excitement, new place. I just was surprised it meant so much to him. That's what I would say. It's just interesting. He reminded me of it. You know what I mean? I just assumed that it was more sanitary, that these transactions were more sanitary, like just pushing a trade through on Madden. And this just reminds you that regardless, and to me, surprises me that players have developed feelings for teams and organizations, honestly, because in some cases I've been told that like we overblow that crap and that they are just there to do a job, and it meant a lot to them.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's true for some people, but there again, I think one of the things that hit CMC the hardest was you build up a camaraderie with your teammates. Like at the start of the season, you feel like you embark on a mission with this specific group of guys, and you're going out there and you're fighting for something with the team.
I don't think Kevin Durant feels that way. He's like, man, what I mean?
I don't even watch basketball.
Devontae Adams ready to go. I mean, I don't know. Aaron Rodgers ready to go.
And the Dominican not wanting to go to training camp.
This is awesome. I mean, do you blame him? He said, I have no desire to be in training camp. Hit me after when you need me.
I mean, he's like a fighter for hire now.
Yeah.
A
mercenary.
If you need someone to disrupt and cause some havoc in the middle, you know my number. I
think that's it. Is that it?
No, we got like 3 more. We can.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Oh,
you added these.
Oh, I know. I forget. It's been in 2 hours, 3 hours. This was it. I wonder if this is because, well, look, every time a player comes up, we go, can he fit on the Panthers? Dalvin Cook, kind of same draft class as Christian McCaffrey, by the way. And look, they just aren't going to be able to afford him anymore. The Minnesota Vikings said they're going to have to cut him, or they've been trying to trade him. Right now, they've been trying to trade him. I don't think they've been able to find any takers. And right now, I've heard that he could be a post June 1st cut or something. I mean, I wonder if is there room in the Panthers running back room for another player, whether or not it's Dalvin Cook, but like, hey, is Miles Sanders and these other guys enough, or would it help to have another reliable ball carrier on this team?
I mean, I saw there were people pounding the drum for him to come to Carolina, but to me, it's kind of redundant, right? With Miles Sanders, I mean, hey, more talent is more talent is more talent, but yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, apparently they were trying to trade Dalvin Cook, and everything stalled. Like he was, they were gonna trade him, and then apparently there wasn't much of a market for him. I don't know all the details of it, but yeah, it is not a great relationship between Dalvin Cook and the Minnesota Vikings. Some people say he wanted to go to Buffalo and play with his younger brother.
They could use him. They would, man.
For sure. That would be incredible for them.
Joe Burrow gonna break the bank. I mean, he's just gonna reset everything. Yeah. He said he's involved in contract extensions. He says, I'm pretty clear on what I want. What do you think that is that he wants? I would say the most.
Well, I don't know. I went on Reddit and they were saying that he was a part of what he was looking for was to make sure that the team had enough money to pay Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I just saw that too, man.
Say that again.
No, here, I found it.
Okay.
So Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow said having teammates who are due paydays soon are a focal point as he goes through contract negotiations.
Well, that's interesting. You know, some of these players I think too are recognizing like, hey, man, I'm good enough to where I'm going to get paid regardless. And like, what if my value only goes up if we're successful?
Yeah, and Jamar Chase was asked about Joe Burrow's extension, and he was saying about Joe, he wants to win. He's not a big guy on money. He wants to look out for the people around him and keep the team around him. And, you know, I mean, Tom Brady did this forever. If you do this right, you can make more money from endorsements and other types of deals than your actual NFL contract. You know what I mean? And
Right.
you can put all kinds of, like, incentive-laden stuff in there, too. Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, if you're Joe Burrow, would you not want Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to be around you for the rest of your career? Yeah, I'm sure you probably would. But yeah, kudos to him for having that mindset if he did. But it'll be interesting.
And this one's for you.
Oh, hitting dingers, huh?
Yeah, Josh Allen gets out and into the practice, batting practice, and is hitting them out of the park.
Hitting dingers.
Yep. So hey, I think
I like Josh Allen, man. I like the big, strong, strapping quarterbacks. You know, what can I say, man?
That should be it. All right. That's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. We've got one last segment, the longest running segment on the longest running Panthers podcast. Now it's time to ice some fools up, Cody.
Yes, sir. If I can find the...
I know. I just went, look, I'm like, we're actually going to get done by 11:30.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
Ice up, son. It's our time to where we open the show up to things beyond just football, but where we pay our homage to Steve Smith and ice up everybody. Somebody's fair game, anybody's fair game. It's where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up to get it together. And usually we have to tell multiple people because the world needs some ice. And my ice up sons first go to... Let me see. This is one. Hold on. Here goes. Let me I want to pull the headline up and show you guys. This is interesting. Not interesting. Ice up to this teacher in Pulaski County, Tennessee, who was suspended after letting a student dress up as a grand night in the KKK. It says a Kentucky teacher was suspended after allowing a Kentucky teacher. I thought Pulaski County was in Tennessee. A Kentucky teacher was suspended after allowing a student to dress up as a Ku Klux Klan member. I saw somewhere that it said that they were dressed up as a grand night. I think this, though, is that where the extra ice up goes, I'm pretty sure, and that's why I thought it was Tennessee. Maybe there's a town in Tennessee, Pulaski, but the Ku Klux Klan was invented in Pulaski, Tennessee, I'm pretty sure. Right? So it's like, I think that like that's a little too close to home. Yeah. Not that you should probably, I'm like, anyway, that's my first ice up.
In today's world, if you don't know that you're gonna catch some backlash for that shit, yeah, ice up, son.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and the teacher is like, all right, no oral history projects like on this subject in this class. It's kind of like I'm pretty sure that the Germans did this. It's like they just outlawed the Nazi symbol. Like we got to strike this from the record.
Yeah, 100%.
There's also
really fucked this one up.
And Rwanda too. I think they have completely it's illegal to, you know how they had the Hutu and the Bantu, the Hutu,
Hutu and the Tutsis.
Yeah, and like all of that, like anything that dips its toe into that subject is like completely off limits. My next ice up pick is I'm icing up Crying Wolf because when you hurl allegations all the time for political reasons, that it gets to the point where I become so fatigued. I don't even know or care to believe any of them. I saw this headline: Rudy Giuliani is entangled in these allegations that he was selling pardons for $2 million, getting Donald Trump to pardon people potentially. But this other is an accuser that he promised that this woman that worked for him, Miss Dunphy, alleged that he required her to perform oral sex while he was on telephone calls. And he basically he goes on to say that it made him feel like Donald Trump. I mean, not Donald, Bill Clinton. Like he said that it made him as cool. And it said in one instance, Rudy Giuliani promised Miss Dunphy that he would give her $300,000 if she would forgo her legal rights in connection to her pending case and fuck me like crazy, according to her. And it just continues to have all this stuff. But here's the thing: is I've been so what is it when when this backfires and it hurts victims over time? Is that all the crap that's gone on about whatever it was from the first one was, do you remember when Borat did the shit, and then the way they covered the story made it sound like Rudy Giuliani was really, and then when you actually read into it, the media misled everybody.
Yeah.
And they forgot to tell us it was a Borat skit.
Yeah, it was a Borat movie.
Right. Then the other the girl that recently
but Matarisa? No, different. The Trump.
Right, but sued Trump. It's when you criticize, I'm starting to not even care about the I'm almost assuming this is just political shit when it could very well be a legitimate claim, right?
Yeah.
It's just like fatigue. It's the crime wolf fatigue. So I'm icing up that whole system that then gets us. And really, do you think she could be blowing Giuliani while he's on the telephone?
Yeah, could you imagine?
You know what? That's around close she did that.
Dude, also, it
just
seems
quit.
to me like
I'm sorry, just quit.
But no, what you were saying though, it seems to me, and this is coming from someone who is now at 33 years old, completely apolitical. I don't give a fuck anymore.
I'm same.
They Democrats, they don't want to win an election. They want the judicial system to do it for them. So instead of beating Trump outright, no, they want to pin.
They know they can't.
All this other dumb legal shit against him. That's only going to further embolden him to his fan base.
You know what? Here, and my only this, and I have not followed it like I used to. That's why I started this podcast.
It turns my stomach, man.
Yeah,
I can't do it anymore.
I used to follow the news a lot and be interested and have opinions. But I do think I think that the Democrats don't believe they can beat Trump with Biden.
No.
And they also want Biden to be the president so they can then use him to
a weekend of Bernie's president,
right?
They parade around like a puppet.
We need him to be president, but we know he can't beat the guy, so we got to find a way to win this. It's so
we have to find a woman that'll make up a story about Donald in a public story.
What in a dressing room? I was like, he molested me in a Kmart. Wait, Donald Trump in a Kmart?
we're so off the rails. But did you see the Donald Trump deposition video where they're asking him about stuff, and I think it came up like one of the woman deposing him was like, how it was like grabbing by the pussy, all those, and he was like, she asked him, "Did you once say that?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's what you did at the time." It was basically owning it, that's
which you should. At this point, right? Is don't lie about it.
Yeah, when you were rich and famous back in the day, he's like, "Hey, man, that's what I could do."
Bill
That was-
Clinton
that was
should.
the
Bill
norm.
Clinton's biggest mistake back in the day, in my opinion, was just trying to walk the line of truth too far. Like one, he's like, I didn't inhale. Just say you smoked pot. Just say you tried it. And then the other was he said, I did not have sexual relations. And then he said, I didn't think that oral sex was sex. Like, just I think Americans are actually more forgiving if you're just open, honest, and apologetic than if you are lying and all of that.
Oh yeah, but remember, this is what politicians do. They believe these half truths that they tell themselves and to their
Yeah, they
constituents.
lie until they believe it.
Yeah.
All right,
No
what do you
doubt.
got?
Mine. This first one isn't necessarily. It could have been an ice up if my man got hurt, but it shows how far a person will go.
Oh, this is
Save
awesome.
their beer.
This is family right here.
Oh shit! One more time.
They're fighting.
He's trying to find the right moment. Like, oh shit! All right, home free.
Which, by the way, I love. One of my favorite Twitter handles is the closed circuit. It's just all of these videos of random security videos around the world of like shit like that. So fun to watch.
Yeah, like one of these. So I'm icing up life because, dude, life will come at you fast. Watch the absurdity of this video, bro. So they got this Chinese dude dubbing over it. So this old man just walking, minding his business. Boom! A cat falls from a power line, lands on his head, and knocks homeboy completely the fuck unconscious, right? Then check it out. Then a dog walks up to check on him, and the dog, for some reason, is wearing shoes. Like, just randomly wearing shoes, right? So then the dog is like, oh, man, that's fucked up. The dog realized what happened. He goes over to the cat, like, hey, bro, you're fucked up, man. What'd you do that for? He starts yelling at him, and the cat just bitch slaps him.
And
And
I
that's
got
it.
I got
That's
one that's good.
No, that's the whole video. Just that crazy chain of events. Boom. Knocks him out. Cat runs away. A dog randomly with shoes on is like, huh? What happened here?
Why does the dog have shoes
I
on?
know. Dude, I have no idea. He goes to confront the cat, and the cat says, get your bitch ass out here.
I want you to this is the one that let's see if I can get this up here. This one made me laugh. Very something kind of similar to that one. This woman is hit by this tire. Can I not go?
Oh,
full
yeah.
screen? Have you seen this?
Yeah, it hits.
Look, she dodges the tire and then it's the back.
Oh, dude, that's the worst luck ever.
Oh, man. Gosh.
Oh, that one's rough. I have one more. It's
nice.
It's not even a video. To the
dog with shoes on.
I know, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, what world do we live in? UFC middleweight champion Ejiro Evero's ex-girlfriend is taking him to court for half of his wealth because they dated too long, and she supported his career. Thought be gone. Like, what are you talking about? She's not married to him. She doesn't have his children.
He wasted the best years of my life.
Yeah, dude, what are you even saying, man? Like, come on. Like, to this gold digging Jezebel, I'm gonna say, ice up, son. Ice up.
This is why lawyers ruin the world, man. Like, if litigation has ruined the world,
yeah,
right? Like that's why we can't just have. There was these kids. They're college kids. It looked like, and they set up like it looked like they had like a Blackstone grill. You know those flat top grills.
Yeah. Oh, those are.
And
awesome.
these guys just set up shop outside in a parking lot of Food Lion, and we're just like making chicken sandwiches and making food and selling it, and like entrepreneurial spirit. But I was like, man, these mugs are gonna get shut down. But I mean, because like everything needs a everything is so government heavy. And it's not, when we say government, that's just an easy way, but lawyers and litigation are a big part of that. Right? I mean, like, we've litigated the world. And the fact is that she's suing because she didn't make a better decision to not be with this dude.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's like, dude, but also think about that's my favorite fighter, by the way. I love Ejiro Evero there. The amount of time and training and dedication that he has put into his career. And
she's like, this guy wouldn't drink with me. He wouldn't have sex with me before fights. I wasted all my time.
How stupid, bro. How stupid.
That's the C3 Panthers podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. My name's Tony Dunn. You can follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. You're interested in checking out some of our gear, you can buy some t-shirts and some other gear at CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Maybe even consider writing for the website. Friday Free-For-All is hot and a big part of Panther Nation. We've got a lot of stuff coming out. I've got some cool secret ideas I haven't even shared with the fellas yet. You got to be a part of it. Smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe. Cody Lack, tell them how they can get after you.
Yeah, man. Find me on Twitter at Cody Lack, CODYLAC. Every Friday at 7 p.m., the show that is for Panther fans by Panther fans. That's the Friday Free-For-All, where you can join the show via StreamYard and be a part of the action, just like Tony and I are doing right now. And we took last Monday off, but every Monday at 10:30, Desmond Johnson, and Monty Fetty do Embrace Debate Carolina Panthers. You can check it here on C3 Cat Chronicles and on Tobacco Sports Road Radio.
Shout out to the real AP. I'm pretty sure he said he's got a job interview tomorrow. Go ahead and get that job here. He said,
shout out AP.
Give me a thesis. Well, the two things that come to mind first, I think you're talking about PCU, where he ruined it, where that guy, a great movie. It's like My Generation's Animal House. And he goes, what are you majoring in? And he's giving out dissertations to help these people that when his friend screwed up. And he goes, I'm majoring in Sanskrit. And he said, you're majoring in a 4,000 year dead language? Here, Latin, best I can do for you. That was his thesis. But here's my thesis, my advice to you in an interview, and I don't know what type of job you're going for. If it is a more like a bigger kind of a company that has like an HR and like a process and they have to do the same, generally the last question of an interview is, do you have any questions for us? And what my suggestion is to think about the position, think about the company, and develop a question that shows your interest in the company or the position beyond just you getting the job. I've been on a couple of these committees before, and they're like, so when are we going to find out? How much is the days? Like, it's very me-centric. And I think that gives you an opportunity to just take 10 minutes, look at their website, do a little Google search about what the company's doing and maybe some challenges they're interesting or facing or some things like that, some objectives, and make that question about them, put a thought on the committee, turn it to them. That's what I've always liked in the past. That's my advice. And you're right. We're not going to protest. It's the great movie. Cody Lack, take us out of here. If you haven't seen PC, I might go watch it tonight. I need to laugh.
Hey, C3 Panther Nation, until next time, keep pounding.